What is up, you Hexican fools? It's your boy GRC. Sam Stoltz in the green room getting his powder freshed up on the face. Makeup's coming in. You know the drill over here on Hex in the Morning. Guys, this week is going to be absolutely nuclear for Hex in the Morning. We're mooning. We're excited. We are so motivated to keep going and doing this. I'm scared for anyone who's an enemy of mine because you're going to get trampled over. It's destruction, guys. Hex in the Morning coming at you live.
Young folks, you tripping on them motherfucker.
With your heart. With your heart.
Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Point one every day we mark. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Checking my MetaMask moving. Look at the Hex, he is mooning. Looking at wives they be choosing. Peter is why they be losing. Pulsechain's out, now get me a check. He's gas up and it got me a mess. Remember the times he died collect. Hex, I been eating, I'm dying in the best. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this pulsechain lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Getting this back like a year ago. Getting this pulsechain lingo. Swerving the ring like a Lambo. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Bought my Hex from the fucking start. Sacrificing all this bread like I'm Richard Hart. Got paid on big payday and I had a hit restart. Now I'm checking on my pulse just to check my heart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart. Richard Hart.
Oh, whoops. Sorry, guys. You're muted, Sam. Guys, how's everyone doing, guys? Throw it up for him, Sam.
Let's get it.
I don't know who's boss, first and foremost. Get the fuck out of our faces. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, everyone. I'm not going to curse. I'm sorry. That was the first 10 minutes. Algo Destroyer. Guys, we have a huge, crazy week. Sam, how was your day?
Oh, man. We just got off the phone because my internet line is knocked down, laying in the street. So I'm actually tethered to my cell phone to try to get this stream going. So if there's any, internet issues, that is why. But other than that, my morning is going fantastic. I already got my workout in, and I'm ready to rock and roll. We're going to actually be going rock climbing later, and I was thinking about you because I know it's something that you do, but girlfriend and I are going to be going rock climbing. So how are you doing this morning? I heard you made some progress with your car.
Yeah, so I got a lawyer. She called the car. Guys, if you have a problem with, first of all, Sam and everyone in the comments, it's your job as a human to develop a good relationship with the lawyer. Someone that you can trust. Someone that's not going to charge, there's difference between having a lawyer and knowing a lawyer. Know a lot of lawyers. They help you. My lawyers never charge me for shit because I'm always, this lawyer's not charging me for shit. I told her I'm coming in, hour-long session, hex.com. Change your life right now. I told her. She said, I'm in. She said, I'm locked. She said, yes. She said, I want to know what you're talking about. I said, subscribe to my channel. Do this. I'm taking over. I'm going into crypto every single day. I'm changing people's lives because I'm so sick of the insurance companies and the banks. Well, she was an insurance person, so it was more like that. I was like, I'm so sick of them taking advantage, and crypto can fix this.
Oh, wow. So what is she doing? She's reaching out to
She's my lawyer,
community?
So we were talking. No, I was like, I'm going to come to your place of work and teach you about crypto because I know you don't know. And she said, I need you to do this for me. I guarantee I could flip that into her paying me more than I'm paying her. I guarantee I could. It's more valuable.
Oh, correct. Correct. She's got the income coming in, and she needs to do something with it.
Well, and I can get a lawyer on every corner of the street. Remember, you have to go to school for 8 years for that. How many years did I go to school, Sam? Can't remember. None, because it was not the smartest thing for me to do. Luckily, God had plans for me, so He just arrested me rather than sending me through the system. But I believe that is true. I believe I had to avoid that to fulfill my purpose.
That was part of your journey. You needed to do that.
I had to skip school. I wouldn't have been able to get out of the matrix. I just didn't have that skill set.
Abit's presentation that he puts together for Hex might be an interesting presentation that you could even bring with you to the lawyer's office, because I'm sure he's ironed out a lot of the details in the presentation over the past 6-7 months of doing that 50 or 100 times that he's put that presentation together. So you might be able to bring that with you if he's willing to share that information with you.
Yeah, I totally. I have a lawyer. There's a crypto lawyer that we're going to talk to here this week.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, Crypto Bit Law. Go ahead and follow Crypto Bit Law on Twitter. Okay. Great name. It's a dog. His picture's a dog. It's like an animated dog, kind of like a Dogecoin dog. So just look out for him. And he comes into the spaces and gives his 2 cents. I also have security guys coming in this week. I'm talking these are the best guys in crypto. As far as security and open source knowledge, yes.
Hell yeah. Let's get on. What questions do you guys have in the comments? But I think an accountant.
Let me talk to these commenters real quick because we have 150 comments already. So let me get to them. I don't know if it's 150, but there's a lot. Hey guys, it's Marianne. It's good to see you. You look like a lovely woman, which is nice on this channel because lots of guys on this channel in general. Negs, X, and Frank, first time. Sam, I'm going to talk to everyone I haven't talked to you yet so we can get a gauge of how many new people there actually are.
Yes, because we got some new.
Watch now that my lawyer calls. Tri-State Collision's trying to get me to answer the phone. Now they call. Sickening. Hold on, I'm actually going to. Do you mind talking to the?
Yeah, I'm going to say hi to the chats if you want to jump on that and pick that up real quick. So let's go through here and say hi to some people. You got to mute yourself though. We're going to hear your whole conversation. There we go. He's muted. Perfect. Hex Orca, what's up, brother? Thank you for coming in. We have Symph Wave Symphony. How you doing? Get a little flex there first thing in the morning. Marianne, how are you? Or Marianne, however you say your name. Thanks for stopping by. Crypto Talking, how are you? Learning crypto to help banking clients. Oh, hey, if you said you're a lawyer, Hex for my kids, right? If you're a lawyer and you want to come on and share, you can use a picture if you don't want to show your face. But come on and share your knowledge with everybody. Bullish is in the house. Thank you for Bullish. Bullish is helping out with lots of comments and stuff, so appreciate that. Justin Sprague, Eagle AI, how are you? What's up? Hex Dex. I think the fun part of this is just me trying to pronounce everybody's name here. Hex Deck 16, how are you? Lost Legacy, what's good? Hello world and hello Hexicans. Good morning, beautiful people. I am doing amazing. Hexican Papa. Ninja Chopsticks, some OGs in the comments. Hexican Tattooer, Tic Tac Crypto, Hex and Chill Girl, what's up? Godfather J16. Yo, what is up with everybody? Does everybody else in here enjoy crypto and enjoy fitness and making progress in their life and what they are trying to achieve? That is literally the only thing that I try to do each and every day, is make a little bit of progress. There's a couple more. MJ Money, watching and listening while working. That sounds like a good day. Knocking stuff out and listening to the show. Fantastic. Shell for Freedom. We need more people shelling for freedom. Shilling for freedom would be good. Hex Squid, how you doing? Hexkin Tattooer. Hex to Learn is in the house. Fantastic. Hex to Learn, if you guys are not familiar with Hex to Learn, awesome resource for the Hexkin community with hex2learn.com, I believe it is. And also just a very helpful guy over on Twitter. And I think there's probably some people that I've forgotten here. Rich Kiss, Tin Top, Orcas in the house. I think we already mentioned. Hex for my kids. Let's go down to the bottom. Finn Bear and Jen Hex and Hex. This is fantastic, guys. I love the comments and everything here. Hit up the 10 Jack Saturday live stream. Open mic for everyone who wants to add value and direction. Yes, it's fantastic. So this morning I get home from the gym and get inside, and I send my buddy a message for doing a video together, Hex Par or Par Hexcellence. And I see the message is not going through. So I jump in the shower, get out, and I was like, okay, maybe just take a second for my message to send through to my buddy. Get out of the shower, and the message still hasn't gone through. I look at my internet, and the internet is down. I go outside my house, because this is the third time the internet has gone down in the past month. The wire from my house to the telephone pole is down. Crosses over a street, and somebody hit it, so it's down. I don't have any internet here, and I just had to get off the phone before this. So we're gonna talk about some really interesting stuff, but let me actually see if I can pull something up. I put together a little explainer for how to understand. I'm going to share this. Hopefully he's able to actually share this with you guys. How the AMM fixer bot works. Let me make this a little bit bigger. If you can, I don't know. Okay, I'll just move it around. Okay, so this is how the traditional, I had to do this for myself so that I could get an understanding. And then I was like, well, if I'm doing this for myself, I might as well share this. So we hear about the AMM fixer bot, right? So how does that AMM fixer bot work? We hear about the AMM fixer ratio bot from Richard, right? That's going to be pulling liquidity from the copied other AMM dexes. So how does that work to increase the price of something that causes things to, or causes there to be an opportunity for arbitrage, right? Because Richard mentioned, it's like, hey, we're only going to be pulling from, Polkadot or whatever, SushiSwap, V2, Uniswap, and there's going to be money for arbiters to make money. So how does that all work? Well, if you look at the formula, that's this right here, X times Y equals K, where X is the quantity of a pair. When you put in a liquidity pair, you have one side of the pair and then you have the other side of the pair. So X is one side of the pair, Y is the other side of the pair. What's up? You get all that stuff figured out?
I hope my mic was muted. Was it muted?
Yes.
Oh my God, thank God.
He took
fucking insurance car adjusters, insurance companies, and collision places, the biggest shams in the history of the United States of America. I would watch those places burn with the people inside of them suffering. Motley, investor, how are you doing, brother?
What's up, Jim Rat? What's up, Sam?
Hey, what's up, Motley? How you doing, brother? Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you finally, Sam.
Yes, I've heard about you. I heard good things. He's talked about.
What do you think about Hex in the morning, bro? This has been pretty
good.
Cool.
You're killing it. Didn't I tell you were gonna kill it from the beginning? Like before you even started your channel? Yeah, I knew you do well. You're too entertaining not to do well.
Motley knows, like, if they can just light a little fire under some guys' asses, right? Because they know there's guys with potential out there. So they're just like, why don't we buddy up instead of just hating every motherfucker who comes in here? Like, wanting to be, because I think Motley just noticed that I was really enjoying it. Like when I was on Twitter, I was just enjoying it. Like the same way he does with his buddies. Just like, this is the most fun shit he does probably when he's talking to Wendy's on the phone bullshitting or whatever.
Yep. 100%.
You know what I mean? I want you to talk to Sam real quick. Sorry, I want you to talk to Sam real quick. I'm going to shut up for a minute.
No, you're good.
Any questions about Hex or anything? Like Sam's 45 days into crypto, so like
I know I've been
following
his journey.
There's a lot of pieces that I know intimately that he might be missing completely.
And I've been screenshotting some questions that I've been getting on my channel that I don't know the answers to, and I was like, oh, this will be perfect video content. I'll pull those up. But, so what's up, cryptographic? But Motley, I don't know a lot about your background. Can you tell me a little bit and then also share with the chat a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, exactly. We can do a little trade skis because I want to know more about you as well. So for me, the most part early on, I would just do this briefly. let's just say since a young age, I've been kind of searching for the ultimate like passive income. Like I knew a big part of my journey in life was going to be just wealth generation. I didn't want money to ever be an issue in my life. When I was younger, I had great loving parents. One was a school teacher. My dad actually worked for an old microfiche company way back in the day, back when that was still relevant. And hardworking individuals, but like I always saw the one issue in their lives was money, right? And I caught on to that pretty early age, like 5 to 7 years old. I just always noticed it was always an issue of conflict. So I whatever reason at a young age I picked up, I was like, I didn't want to ever struggle for money. So I knew kind of as I started going through my teenage years and my young adult life, I was kind of going to be in the search of producing wealth some way and getting ahead. After that, I went to college, and I was very fortunate to run into. So I worked at I was a personal trainer at my gym. I went to University of Central Florida. Yep, yeah. All you,
here, yes.
So I'm a little bit of a thick boy.
You get to see some games right there.
maybe Jim Ride will lean me out here in a little bit. But oh shit, I just set my desk off. Hold up, calm back down.
Jim right over here.
Yeah, that's like the ones you don't want them to clip up. But yeah, so I met.
They're already getting me on everything, by the way. They're getting me on every slip up.
Well, it's nice. YouTube added that clip feature, so it's a lot easier to do it now. But yeah, so I met my mentor, one of my first mentors in my life, Rob. He was a business professor, but he only taught like one class, one semester, and he loved like working out with all the people at the gym. So like him and I worked out and trained together, and he started telling me about his real estate portfolio, and he gave me some books to read. The first 2 books he gave me to read was Richest Man in Babylon and Rich Dad Poor Dad. So after I finished reading those 2, it kind of just flipped the switch. If I wanted to become wealthy in this life, like I had to be able to lay my head on the pillow at night and be generating income while I slept, right? Like I learned very quickly that being a wage slave was not going to get me ahead of the game when it comes to inflation, taxes, all that stuff. So his passion was real estate, and then I kind of adopted that. He took me under his wing, saw all his properties, learned how to manage them, and so took that knowledge. Partied way too much in college, was young, dumb, immature, loved to procrastinate. I got away with it in high school. I could do it and still do really well and didn't care. It just didn't like grab my focus. So eventually I was just like, all right, I need to change it up, because I was taking out student loans. I had no idea what I was doing, just put myself in debt. And it was just, I realized I needed to like change and make a turn. So then I started looking into the military as an option, because I learned they could eliminate my student debts. Because if you guys didn't know, student loans can't even be wiped out by bankruptcy. It's probably one of the most corrupt things ever, because you have young 18-year-old kids that have never been taught anything about finances and the educational system. And then they have the ability to sign their lives away to these student loans. They have no idea what the repercussions are later.
And their parents co-sign it.
And their parents co-sign. And the parents don't know better. A lot of the parents don't know.
They don't. Of course not.
Yeah, so it's I could go hours about how disgusting I am with like the educational system. I think it's going all kinds of wrong directions. But anyway, so I ended up looking at different branches. For me, it was going to be Air Force or Navy. I ultimately chose Navy. One of the big factors was because I wanted to travel. Did nuclear engineering. So I essentially worked on all the mechanical systems of the nuclear power plant on a carrier. I leveraged the VA loans. For you guys that don't know, that's something that's afforded to all military members, where you can essentially buy a home, you pay zero money down, low interest rates, and you can do that up to a 4-unit building and still have it be considered residential property. So I bought multi-unit buildings. I would live in 1 unit, rent out the other 2 or 3. And then I would do that every year. I'd flip it into a new house, and I'd take out another VA loan, and I would just continue and do that. So I built up a nice real estate portfolio, was doing pretty well, was making way more money than most enlisted and then younger officers, just supplementing my income with real estate. So I did that, dabbled in stocks a little bit, but really didn't grab my interest. And then I got into crypto around 2016, mid to late 2016. Knew about Bitcoin, missed that opportunity, was really bummed out, or at least at the time I thought I missed it. And I was just like, okay, I'm not going to miss this. Clearly, there's something going on in this new asset class that came up, right? Because like Bitcoin was one of the first to really show us that the proof of concept, like this can work. These speculative products can make an ungodly amount of money. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to miss my next opportunity. I wasn't in the space enough when Ethereum launched, so I missed that as well. I was just like, well, shit, like these changing opportunities only come around so often. I was like, well, I already missed two. Like, where the chances are of a third one coming through? Like, really revolutionary, something that changes the game, something that is going to just make an impact in this space. I was like, I probably missed it. But I was in the space. I was heavily involved. I had learned about mining. So a lot of us have done mining before. And again, it played off the fact I love passive income. So when I found out, hey, you can build this rig and it's going to essentially mint you these free coins out of thin air, and you can sell them for what at the time I thought was cash or good money, fiat. And I was just like, oh, that sounds amazing. And so I learned how to build those rigs. So I just jumped in, bought like $10,000 worth of computer equipment, sat there on giant piles. And I wasn't even a big computer guy, so I had to learn almost two languages. I had to learn the kind of computer side of it, and then I had to learn the crypto side as well. So I'm learning how to like flash BIOS on my cars, trying to get the system to run well and not crash. And then I started just minting coins, Ethereum. Then I started to get into speculative mining, where you could like pre-mine these coins before they came out, and that could pay huge. So I did that for a while.
Fucking
Mining,
badass,
mining was cool because I didn't even realize a cool skill that I picked up when I was doing it, but I had a very good indication of where the market was going, because as I was so involved in the mining, I knew how much all the components were. I knew the GPUs were like out of stock all the time. And so I noticed as prices started to dip and everyone's like, oh, it's going to go back up. It's going to go back up. Right. But then I started noticing more GPU parts coming on being able to buy. Like, you couldn't buy anything back in the day. You would pay like secondary markets 2 to 3x on all these components. I was starting to see that you could buy them at retail prices again. I was just like, oh, that's interesting. And then I was just like, prices kept going down. More stock was coming available. I was like, oh shit, this thing's crashing. I was like, this is all going down. And so I was able to sell all my mining equipment, essentially a little bit more than what I paid for, which was amazing. Mined a bunch of coins I had. I pretty much consolidated everything into Ethereum and Bitcoin. I tried to chase the pump, and that was the thing too. Like, I saw the pump and dump groups. I was part of that. I realized very quickly that it's just people buying the coins ahead of time and then dumping it on their followers' heads. And I was just like, you know what? I'm done chasing the pump. I'm just going to consolidate in what I thought was the blue chip stocks, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum. And just like Richard says, all that crashed down just the same as everything else. Everything else, even Bitcoin and Ethereum, crashed 80, 85, 90% down just with everything else. I was like, okay, I'm going to take a break from this, focus on what I'm good at. So I consolidated everything into Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then I went back to, not that I ever left it, but I went back to focusing more on real estate and accumulating properties. And then I just so happened, I'm always on YouTube and stuff like that, looking for new smart people to follow. That was another thing I learned early on, is surrounding yourself with the right people, very intelligent people. It's just going to open opportunities and doors, right? So I was following this guy, Doug Polk, at a time, and he kind of combined both passions of mine, which was, I love playing poker. I've been playing poker since a young age. My dad got me into it, and in crypto at the time. And he was interviewing this weird guy, long hair, floral patterned shirt. He was on the throne. I was like, who the heck is this? Just eccentric looking guy, right? Like when you see Richard for the first time, he looks a little bit better now with the shorter hair. In the early days, I was just like, this dude looks weird. But he started talking. Now he started talking. I was like, oh, this dude's intelligent, like super intelligent. And then like I knew he knew crypto way better than I did, way better than Doug Polk. And they got into this discussion essentially, where Doug Polk is a professional poker player, and Richard was kind of having a debate with him why poker is kind of a negative sum game. And they were going back and forth. And I didn't really expect to have my viewpoints changed on poker. But by the end of it, I was just like, oh, he brought up a lot of valid, intelligent points. And I was like, by the end of it, I was like, he's kind of right. Like, and
it's funny how you actually said, I'm not 100% agreeing with this guy, but he's saying detailed arguments.
Yep.
Motley, and I do the same thing. I'm very keen on this. I want to know who's speaking in detail, and I want to follow them. And I want to know what they're saying, because you know how little people talk in detail these days, Motley. Everyone wiggles around.
It's a lot of fluff, a lot of filler. There's no substance to most of what people are saying. And so like by the end of it, I didn't expect to have my viewpoints changed. And you guys know when you have a debate or maybe an argument or even a discussion with people, very, very few times is our viewpoints actually change, right? Very few times. Like I can probably count on like one hand. But by the end of it, I was like, he brought up some very valid points that I never dived as deep on as he did. And I was just like, I'm gonna follow this guy. This guy's smart. Good things will probably come from this. Let me learn more from him, right? And dove into his channel, the self-help videos, all that stuff. And then he started going up. He used to be a Bitcoin maxi, and then he started to change his worldview. And then he's like, "Well, I'm going to build my own token." And so,
so you were paying attention during that time where you're like, okay, yeah, Bitcoin's set, Bitcoin's where it's at, and then you saw him change his POV as he was evolving, and you're like, oh wow, there's a lot of shit you can't. There's a lot of issues with this, and you were paying attention during that time period.
yeah. I mean, I
Because
was
he
never
was speaking so effectively too.
Yeah, I was never full like Bitcoin maxi. Like, I was really big in Ethereum just because I was a miner and like I did GPU mining. So like I enjoyed that kind of stuff because it gave me more options than what like a A6 miner does for Bitcoin. But I was following him. I was just listening. And then like I was like, okay, this guy's going to do something great. And then so his first idea was CFD token, which was essentially a lot of this mining is just brute force computation. It doesn't do any good, right? So his idea was just like, why don't we take that useless computation and actually put it towards something good, like solving these advanced mathematic problems that they use in engineering, NASA, all this stuff. And he brought a guy on and was talking about it. And I was like, okay, that's cool. You know, you're trying to take care of something that would usually be wasteful, but turn it to something good. And I liked it. I was more invested again into the person. And I was just like, okay, I'll probably invest in this, but it's whatever. So he went on that for a little bit. But then I think he realized it wasn't as doable once you actually like, even he's learning as he goes too, right? Like he was getting into
100%.
like what's possible coding. You learn very quickly, like 99% of crypto is send and receive. It's very hard to actually get it to do functions that you want to do. And so that continued on for a little bit. And then he changed his path. He came up with, at the time it was Bitcoin Hex, and he monetized time. And that was just, as soon as he talked about monetizing time, it was just instant click for me. I was like, okay, cool. One of our most valuable assets. You can't get it back. Why not monetize it? And then everything just started to fall in place. It's just like, okay, cool. How do we incentivize this? We'll do staking. Okay. You stake your coins. You're giving up your ability to sell now, but you get to receive the inflation in a form of yield. So you give up your ability to sell, but you're rewarded in the inflation of the token as yield. And the longer you stake, the longer you give up that opportunity cost to sell on the open market, the more rewards you get. I was like, okay, that makes beautiful sense. What are you doing? You're creating.
Sounds like real estate, right?
Exactly.
You kind of take something that's liquid, your cash or your opportunity to get a loan, and you put that into something that's very illiquid, like a house or whatever. And is he fleshing these ideas like in live stream where you get to see the evolution of the thinking?
Yeah, it's so long ago. I'd have to go back and look at those, but I mean, all the information he must have done on live stream, because I was one that, it's funny because early on he would say this, but I was one of the guys that was just on YouTube after the kind of crash. I got out of, like, I was in Telegram, but not like heavily involved, so I didn't go on Telegram. I wasn't on Twitter. I thought Twitter was just like super toxic, so I never touched it. And it was funny because he would do his YouTube streams, and he's like, all you fucking idiots on YouTube, go to my Telegram, go to my Twitter. Like, you guys are literally the last people that get the information. I remember him very distinctively saying that. I was like, oh, that's me. And so like the first, before Hex launched, and before and after Hex launched, for at least the first couple months, I wasn't involved in any of those groups that you see now on Twitter or the Telegram pages. And so I just had YouTube, and like he was telling us like, hey, come in here, you'll get the information quicker. So I know he must have hashed out all the process of Hex and everything on streams, because that's the only medium that I listened to him on. And then it might have actually saved me too early on, which is very nice, because when I was getting into Hex early on, so like when it launched, like I was ready, I learned how to do my signature for Bitcoin, converted everything to Bitcoin, even my Ethereum, so I could get the Hex, free Hex for that. Then I switched it all to Ethereum after that was the snapshot had taken place. And then I just started to DCA into Hex from day one out to about, I think I did about 45, 48 days. And
post launch was when you got in? 45, 48 days? You said
no.
post launch?
No, I was in from the beginning. I said I DCA'd for like the first 48 days.
Okay. Sorry, go
Yep.
ahead.
I didn't listen to him on YouTube. I was one of the people that aped in too strong on day one, but I couldn't help myself, right? Because it was already about a year delayed. Everyone wanted to go. So like I remember that day, the first day the AA came out, and I was putting my Ethereum in, and I look at how many you saw how many. I think it was like 21,000 Ethereum or 22,000 Ethereum was day one. And I was just like, I'll put one more Ethereum in. I'll put one more Ethereum in just because I wanted to I was so excited. I just wanted to start my staking ladder because I knew about staking. I wanted to start to get the yield going. And so I was just like, I'll just put another Ethereum in, another Ethereum in. And then by the end of it, I was up to 8 Ethereum. And I was just like, okay, that's enough. I'll stop there. But I just wanted more and more, right? Because I wanted to start building the rungs to my ladder. And then day 2 came around and I went back to the AA lobby and I looked at it and it was like half. Like you got twice as much for your Ethereum as you did day 1. I was like, yeah, Richard's right again. I was like, God damn it. So I quickly adjusted, right? So I was just like, all right, 8 Ethereum, not the smartest move. But then I was like, let me DCA the rest of my stack out. So I would look every day in the adoption amplifier and I would calibrate how much Ethereum I wanted to do that day. For me, I'm on Eastern, so it's like 8 p.m. every night. I would open my laptop 5 or 10 minutes before, see how much Ethereum was in there, calibrate how much I wanted to sacrifice, and then I would put my Ethereum into the AA lobby, close my computer, and I was done. And again, I wasn't as embedded in the community as I am now, so I wasn't in Telegram, still wasn't in Twitter, and so I missed out on a lot of early FUD when we took that first big dip. I missed out on some projects that try to kind of do a psyop and take over Hex. So I missed out on the very early FUD of Hex, which might have saved me from getting out of the program. But I was a machine, right? Just like with working out, I had my routine in place. So every night, 8 p.m., 10 minutes prior, I'm checking out, seeing how much Ethereum is in, figuring out how much I want to put in. All right, do it. Good, done. Do I want to add a stake? Do I want to consolidate? Okay. Close my laptop, move on. And I was just a machine every day. Same thing. Removed from the FUD, removed from any bullishness, just everything. There was no emotions. It was just straight investing. I knew the idea, the concept, everything was great, and nothing was going to deter me from it. And then after I want to say I did my 40 something days, and I just stopped buying because I ate up all the crypto I had in place. And then I was following it, listening to Richard's live streams. And then I remember the day God Whale came in and bought, and the price never came back after then. It was just it was just kind of a confirmation. That big buy, I think it was 10,000 Ethereum, was just confirmation of just yes, this thing has legs. It's going to be successful. And then after then, I started buying more, and I never stopped buying since. So the past 2+ years, continuously DCA'd in, bought more Hex in the past 6 months than I've ever bought. And I just continue to do so because I know that it's the best asset that exists today. In my real estate portfolio, I've liquidated all of it. I'm literally in the process of selling the last house I have, and that'll go into Hex as well. And it's just passive income.
I've got to stop. There's just too much fucking awesome shit here.
That's it.
Sorry.
That's it. This
is great. This is fantastic. That's a great story. That's an inspiration because there's a lot of people who are just starting out and they don't know where to go and see that it really hasn't been that long. And over the last 8 years, your life is completely you can't even imagine. You had mentioned a signature for BTC to text. What does that mean?
Yeah. So in the BTC has the ability you can do a digital signature, right? So it's a way for you to essentially claim hey, this is my wallet, and you can look it on the blockchain and say, okay, Motley has X amount of Bitcoin in his wallet. You're able to essentially digitally sign, just like you would do any other documentation. When you put your signature, you're saying, hey, this is me. Same thing, just in digital form. And I had no clue about it, right? Richard did a tutorial video. I think a couple other communities did a tutorial, or community members did tutorial videos, and it was something that was very foreign to me. And it took me a while to learn, and it was crunch time, right? Because we had a designated date. I don't remember off the top of my head. It was sometime in November that you had to have all your stuff into Bitcoin, and you had to digitally sign it, or you were going to miss the snapshot. So essentially, it was just saying, hey, this is my wallet, and then they can go in there and verify how many Bitcoin you had. And I think you could get up to 13,000 Hex per Bitcoin, and you get that free that free hex, and that would be locked up. You get 10% of it liquid, 90% would be locked up for a minimum of a year, and then I think you could send it out further if you want to.
All-time high viewers, by the way, guys. Let me do let me do my little shtick real quick because I want to tell everyone what I know about Motley and everything too, like my experience. So my experience with Motley is the exact same experience I have today. He speaks the honest truth, and I can tell because he doesn't change his speech over time. You know, it's very similar. I love watching guys speak the same things over the years, just like Sam, just like me, just like Motley,
Richard.
because they have reputation. The most important thing in business is having a good reputation. You have to have a reputation. If I were to sell out to the first person that would say they'd give me $1,000 to shill a coin, everyone would be like, well, he's an asshole. He doesn't care about the product. He just wants it for his own gain. But a real Hexican knows the value of hex. They understand the value of hex. Therefore, if you're only buying hex and you understand the value of hex and you're moving forward in this system, just like Motley was saying so confidently, he's like, yes. And Motley used to tell me, he's like, I think telling anyone to buy anything but hex is risky. He's like, he's like going at anyone and saying to buy this, that, and the other is way more risky to me. He said to me than buying hex, in his opinion, because he's earning trustless interest on the most trustless immutable code cryptocurrency there is to exist at this moment.
Yeah, DeFi is interesting, right? Because it doesn't 99% of crypto and then almost all of DeFi is just kind of a joke because it's not real DeFi, right? You give up possession of your coins, you give up to earn yield. Like Hex is the only one that does it trustlessly. It's found a way to essentially give you 100% trustless yield where you never lose possession of your coins. And the only other DeFi system that I'm aware of today is really, and this is what's kind of beautiful because they kind of coincided together, was Uniswap. Uniswap was the first AMM that was decentralized, right? Like, so we got rid of another third party, and this is what's kind of cool because Hex and Uniswap has kind of led the charge of that DeFi era where we're taking the middlemen that kind of got into crypto and made it so corrupt and such a toxic place with exchanges and leverage trading and people that are just in between you and what you want and just extracting value from you. Hex and Uniswap and this whole decentralized platform actually kind of emerged, and now it's like it's changing everything. Now you have a bunch of other coins and stuff, and this is why I kind of made that statement. I think everything else is risky. All these other lending platforms, Celsius, you name it, you give up your coins, and what says, and Richard talks about this, everything's good until it's not. Like, it might seem like good value, you're getting 20%, 80%, whatever it is, but then they rug pull, they take your coins because you don't have possession of them, or the U.S. government steps in and says, we no longer like how you're operating. We're going to shut you down. And they're just like, cool, we're going to file for bankruptcy. And they decide to just liquidate all your assets. What's your recourse? Like it all seems like gravy until it's all gone, right? So Hex is truly trustless DeFi, earning you trustless yield. We have these new exchanges that are completely decentralized like Uniswap now. Soon we're going to have pulsex. That's going to be absolutely amazing. It's just and they went together. Uniswap came, it was either right before or shortly after Hex, and we promoted the shit out of it, right? We're one of the reasons that Uniswap is what it is today. We were the largest volume on it for like 3 months, and we promoted the shit out of it, just like everything else that works with Hex that is cohesive or just it gives us a use case or what we need at the time, and we promoted the hell out of it. So like Uniswap early on, we pretty much carried it into what it is today, which is the largest DeFi, and now it has more volume than the largest exchanges like Binance and everything else. That's the corrupt.
Wow, really?
We're trying to get rid of. Yes.
Wow. So when you're going through and talking about your story, it's reminding me of a image or a mirror image of what I saw happening with Tesla. So I wasn't really paying attention to crypto, but back in 2009, 2008, I first heard about Tesla. 2010, I started paying attention, and I saw what was going on. And it sounds very similar in the sense that like what Elon Musk was saying and what was happening with the company, if you actually knew the correct way to find information versus like, if by listening to people in the Bitcoin. And you would see this happening, and it sounds like this is the same exact thing here where you people who understand what Elon was saying and what his objective was, and then actually followed the company, versus if you listen to what the media has to say. In this case, maybe you listen to, say, maxis of some sort, or just general
Tesla
news.
was always doomed from the start if you listen from those sources, right?
But if you listen, correct.
If you listen
Go
to
ahead.
Elon, if you understood his intelligence, his drive, all that stuff, it's just not a combination of the company. It's also the man behind the company, the drive, the passion,
Product
and
market
the,
fit.
and the product market fit, the foresight, all that stuff. You need to paint that full picture. That's why getting your information from multiple sources and not just giving what's given to you on the first dose is so important, to dig deep on this kind of stuff, because this is what Hex ran into issues early on, is the shallow stuff on the surface. And I see it every day, even with my onboards now. The first thing they do when they Google is they see old scam articles, like, well, it says it's a scam. So that kind of scares me, or like, I don't know. And that's it, right? Like their extent of research these days is to just go on Google, click on the first link that comes up. And if it's a scam article, they're just like, I don't know. Like, I feel sketched out. But if they dug deeper, they know, hey, this has been out 2+ years. It is literally the fastest appreciating asset known to man. It's outpacing Bitcoin and Ethereum. It earns you trustless yield. You can get upwards of 38% APY and further. That's just the number we give people just so it doesn't really blow their minds, because when you do that and the token appreciation, it's thousands of percent. People just can't even comprehend that, and they really think it's a scam. So there's so much further you can delve into it, but most people are just lazy when it comes to looking into this kind of stuff. So they go to Google, read the first thing. If it's negative, that's it. That was the extent of what the work they're willing to put in, right? Just like the gym. Again, it's fun because you can always segue this stuff back to the gym. It's just like people do the New Year's resolution. They go there for the first week or two. They're like, yeah, I'm going to change. I'm going to do this and that. And they realize it's years and years of work and effort they're going to have to put into this. And they just lose the motivation. They get out of the routine, and then they're done. And then they find themselves back to where they were next New Year's, and they're like, I'm going to do that resolution again. And it's just it's an awful pattern they continue to repeat.
Do you believe that certain patterns in history repeat themselves?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So that's what gets me excited about this story, because I was following the FUD on Tesla, and I saw this, but you'd find these weird niche blogs that actually talked about the truth, and the fundamental progress of the company just continued to make progress, even though the news was like, oh, they're going to die, they're going to go bankrupt, there's this, that, and the other thing. But you were looking at the company, you're like, oh wow, they made progress. Like, oh wow, they're producing this many cars per week. Oh wow, now they got to this many cars per week. Oh, they hired this person, and you could see them moving forward, even though the news said the opposite. That is happening. It appears, right? Like, I'm brand new to this. It appears that's, but then it brings the community closer together, right? Like, in terms of the Tesla community. And back in the day, there was no sources. There was like two sources to find information.
There was nothing. And and it's funny because, like, we talk about this, everyone's like, oh, not that big of a deal. It was, and I was removed, and like I said, that might have protected me a little bit in the beginning from the early FUD, which is nice, but I don't think so. I truly understood what it was and what the value it brought to the table, and like investing in real estate and learning real estate kind of showed that to me, because I was, again, like I said, at a young age, I was always on that hunt for the ultimate passive income, and like Hex is it. It is literally the holy grail of passive income. So to me, it just made sense. I don't think anyone could have ever flooded me out.
But there's going to be a time. I feel like if history repeats itself, which I believe it doesn't, but the context around it changes. There's a time in, I think it was late 2018 and basically throughout 2019 where the paradigm shift. And if what you're saying about, there's so many parallels about the story you're telling about Hex, about Richard Hart, about the information that he's putting out. There's so many parallels that I'm seeing. I just watched this play out, and there was a time where it was just like, there's this gigantic pile of wins here, and the media is still saying, oh, this is shit. But there's this gigantic, like, there's
that asymmetry is where you make all your wealth. That asymmetry in those two sides, that shows you how much opportunity cost is still available. It's just people don't.
There's going to be an explosion, though. There's going to be a point where it tips, and that shit's going to go into like a rocket ship.
That's
what happened. Go ahead.
You have people that are like, oh, like Hex has already done this 10,000x, and this is where, like, I like to push back. To me, it is a better, and we've seen this with Bitcoin and then Ethereum and now Hex. Like, they were truly revolutionary when they started, right? Like, as much shit as we give Bitcoin, like, they were the proof of concept for us. It came along, scam. Even today, traditional finance pushes back against Hex, but you see them starting to get their positions, or against Bitcoin, but you see them getting their positions now. Then Ethereum came out. Okay, Bitcoin Maxi, scam, programmable money, blah, 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 blah. And then proof of concept, it showed that you could actually build on this, unlike Bitcoin, and it changed the game. Again, revolutionized the space. Now we have this whole DeFi sector. Now Hex came out. And it's just like, hey, you can earn. It's a better store value. You can earn trustless yield while you hold. And like Richard has taught us, holding and building your own cryptocurrency, being a founder, those are the two ways to get extremely wealthy. Now you have to put in the right asset. But these new assets have come along over periods of time, and they've completely changed the game. And what did they face when they first came out? Extreme pushback, because it changed the space. It rewrote everyone's business model in the space. And we see it now with Hex. Hex earns you yield without having to go through that middleman. And who are the wealthiest, most powerful people in the space right now? CZ with Binance, all these Bitcoiners that are in 2,000 wallets. All these people, they don't want the value. I mean, everyone is very protective of their bags, right? It is what it is. Our money's invested. We're very passionate about it. But Hex changes the game, and it takes all these middlemen back out of crypto, which it should have been the way of crypto in the beginning. It's just we weren't there yet. We didn't have something like Ethereum where we could build these smart contracts, where you could do something that's truly DeFi like Hex is. And so like when these new revolutionary products come along, it changes the game, and we face that harsh pushback and this can't be possible, it's scam. And then when the 98% of the space is dog shit anyways, it's easy to be lazy and default back to, oh, that must be a scam, right? We see it with like Tone Bays and a lot of the maxis where like, must be a scam, blah, 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 moving on. They don't do any research. They don't know that the world has evolved around them. They're like cavemans over there with, they just invented fire, and they're like trying to figure out going from a square wheel to a circular wheel. And then we're like the freaking Jetsons all around them, and they don't even realize it, right? And so this is why our community is so special, and like why we were so tight, because in the beginning we were that 300 Spartans that had to just constantly defend the FUD. There wasn't enough research out there. We were still learning the product as it was going on. If you go back and look at the early videos, like we didn't understand T-shares until like halfway through the adoption amplifier, and even then it was still a struggle. We had to bring someone like that's truly brilliant, like Dev Kyle, on that helped come up with the concept of T-shares to explain it to us, and we all like stumble fucked our way through it, just trying to figure out what T-shares are. And then we realized, we're like, wow, this is the secret sauce. This is something that truly hasn't been done before, and we had to revamp our entire strategy. A lot of us, because of our prior knowledge, which was how we based our staking ladder, a lot of us were a little heavy in the first couple of years because we were hedging, right? Like we're like, well, I don't know if it's going to be around for 2 or 3 years, but when you take a step back, you realize how T-shares work, and then you realize the time value of money, and you realize, hey, this group of people that's investing 5, 10, 15 years, they're not going anywhere. And you realize this is why people turn against products when they sell it. They no longer have a vested stake into it. When you have a vested stake in Hex that's longer than any other financial product in the world, I think we're like 6 something years now. Yeah, this thing's going to stick around for the long term. Like it's going to change everything that we know.
On a macro sense, have you seen the proliferation of the reducing the admin keys in projects over the years, right? Because 2016 wasn't the space it is today, but you've been around long enough. Have you seen that the stuff that he's talking about start to be implemented at other projects in a way that it's like a positive thing for the whole, like what's happening? I think of like EVs, right? What Tesla's doing, I was like, yeah, these companies are going bankrupt or like going out of business. And I saw this, and people are just starting now to slightly pay attention to what's going on and try to keep in terms with other OEMs. And I would guess that probably in the crypto space, based upon what Richard's saying about the intelligent things about reducing risk from like a trustless yield and non-custodial and no admin keys, I bet that this is starting to be implemented across the board in other areas. Maybe not everybody's fully grasping it, but you've been around long enough to share like your experience in that and see what's actually happened. It's
amazing. Like in the beginning, no one got audits. No one ever got freaking audits. It didn't exist. When Richard said he got 3 audits, and one of them even being a financial economic audit, just to make sure the math worked, Never happened. Now what do you see in all these new projects? Everyone's like, oh, we got it, we have an audit, we have this and all this, and even then it's still not that good, right? Because okay, they had an audit, but is there admin keys? Oh, there is admin keys. Oh, you decided to change the product after you got it audited. Okay, your audit, it's useless, and you see a rug, you see critical failure, you see all this. But like the concepts of getting audited, that was pretty much created by Richard. DeFi, like again, that was led by Hex and Uniswap. And have we even really seen anything that comes close to it? No, but they try to go under the guise of it because they're like, oh, well, this is DeFi. Is it DeFi? Because you're still lending your coins out to somebody. Is it true DeFi? No, because you have vulnerabilities. You have those in cases where it's just complete failure and you have to start over from zero. And this is the issue I was talking about early on in crypto, and this is why we went through such long bear cycles just to get our one bull cycle. Is people got chewed up and spit out in this industry, and they still do. They come in here, it's such a steep learning curve, and I love the hexagons that find this product first because it's such a blessing. Because 99% of people that come in here, they have to learn the hard way. They have to find those pitfalls, and it's funny because Alec, who just did the interview with Richard during the Bitcoin Maxi debate, it was really funny because they had this one point in the debate where Alec was like, "Well, I think everyone needs to get burned to learn, right? They need to get scarred essentially to earn their badge and understand how to operate in the space." And Richard's like, "No, that's fucking stupid." He's like, "Maybe you're a bad teacher." He's like, "I don't know about you, bro, but I took home economics class and they told me to turn the pot handle inside the stove so I don't bump it and spill boiling grease on my freaking leg and blow up my leg." He's like, your methodology is like, hey, everyone needs to pour boiling grease on their leg to learn. He's like, fuck that. He's like, you don't have to do that. He's like, I've never spilt scalding grease on my leg because I had someone teach me properly, right? And this is, people are defaulting back to this like, well, you just got to get burned here to learn. It's like, it's not true. It's like you maybe you need to take a step back and evaluate how you're teaching people, because clearly it's not the right way. You're getting people burned. You're showing a leverage trading link because you don't earn yield on your Bitcoin. Even, man, I knew that debate was so over even from the beginning when he talked about him locking up his Bitcoin. I was like, bro, you just literally just handed the debate over to Richard and Silver Plier. It's just like, oh, you locked up your Bitcoin for a long time so you can see that price appreciation. Well, imagine doing that and earning yield the whole time. It's just like, boom, like Richard made a better store of value than your precious Bitcoin. And it's okay. It's 10 years of evolution in the space. And we have the benefit of Bitcoin laying the groundwork, showing the proof of concept, learning the pitfalls, and someone smart like Richard comes along. He's able to, not only is he smart in crypto, but he has the business accolades to go with it. And he's able to have the foresight to build a better project that's going to replace it and replace a lot of other products in traditional finance. And again, this is why there's so much asymmetry in this. This is going to absorb. It's going to be so much black. It's going to be the black hole of crypto. It's eventually going to be the black hole legacy because they're not going to be able to compete. I know the generation. So like my generation. So like I'm 31. My generation and younger, bro, they're not investing in freaking stocks anymore. They're just not. I know that industry is starting to die. I know that's why they're starting to create their own portfolios where they're scooping up Bitcoin and Ethereum right now. Like my generation is not interested because what do those gains get you? Nothing. Inflation's what? The government's saying it's like 7-8% now, and they skew those metrics. So we're looking at like double digits inflation, and they have the audacity to tax it back on us more. You're not staying ahead with stocks.
But also look what the returns in the S&P index over the last 50 years, 8%, 10%. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, then inflation's eating, 80% of that. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
You're lucky to keep your head above water, and so what you see, and
exactly,
and then this to take it one step further, and this is why I'm so passionate and believe in a product like this, because I believe it transcends a financial product, because I think it really, and it sounds cheesy, right? But like I think it really can change the world, because when you break this broken model we have of this inflated currency that people have to work not only 9 to 5 anymore, but they have to work it overtime. Their partner has to put in 60, 80 hour work weeks to stay ahead, to pay their rent, to pay their mortgage. A lot of us can't even afford to own stuff anymore, right? Like that's the new thing we're seeing. It's like, oh, don't worry. Like you're just not going to own anything. Just be happy with it. Continue to rent. And we've just created it is the new modern day slavery. And so what I see is when you take away people's time and they have to work so hard to stay ahead, you see the family structure break down, right? Mom and dad aren't home. No one's there to raise the kids. You're not able to instill the values and the work ethics and everything that maybe we got as at a young age, because our parents could still spend time with us. They could still bestow like those good values upon us. Nowadays, they can't. They're working themselves to the bone. They're not able to be present. The family structure is falling apart. People can't get ahead anymore, and they work till their dying days. You have Walmart greeters that are 80, 90 years old because if they can't stop working or they just can't afford their medicine they need, they can't afford food, they can't afford living, and people work to their dying days and they don't get enjoyed. If you're lucky, maybe you get to enjoy your 70s and 80s now, just so you can like not work for the last decade or two of your life. And what kind of quality of life is that when you can barely move around or you're on so much medications? Like it's no longer a fruitful life to enjoy. Your family has grown up. You missed out on all those memories. It's sad. It's really
the school.
sad.
I think we probably both agree that the school system is a broken system. Like
Very broken.
Very, 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 very broken. It's been broken for decades, and
Yep.
then the other system that's being exposed and is being broken in terms of the perverse incentives is the medical system, and that's just disgusting. Like with the school system is a joke, right? I was homeschooled my whole life, so K through 12, I was not in the classroom until college. And it's just given me a different POV. At the time, it was like, oh, you guys went to school, you're learning about, and at the time I didn't know, you're learning about stuff and telling me about stuff. I didn't realize that the stuff that you're learning about had no value. And I'm not trying to like, give everybody a hard time, but I didn't realize that the school wasn't teaching you anything. And I'm learning about stuff. So in my mind, when I'm a child, I was like, I'm behind. So that instilled in me when I was young, I need to work harder to learn more because everybody else is in school. So it was like, that's a chip on my shoulder. That's the thing that's always been there to keep me. I need to just keep learning, always driven, just perpetually learning. I had two questions for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Selfish one. Well, both of these are selfish because I want to learn, but they'll be valuable to 100 people here listening. Okay, so I love real estate too. And this is a duplex. If there's another like opportunity a couple doors down, which I'll probably be buying that as well as a duplex. Okay. But I'm in the process of refinancing this, and I am also thinking about keeping control of this, but refinancing, taking portion of the refi to buy the neighbor's house, and then the rest of it just dumping it into leverage, or not, as it's basically a leverage position into house because it's
okay. I was like, I was waiting for you to say hex, and you said leverage. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I was like,
in my head, he's like, and leverage. I was like, wait, I don't agree with that.
You're from the financial world. Financial
it's leverage
is 100% different than leverage in crypto because
he's leveraging his portfolio.
Yeah, it's leveraging like fiat to go into crypto. And you had said you had a portfolio and you dismantled that, or you're in the process of finishing that up. What are your thoughts on that? Like, because I'm also telling my girlfriend, I'm like, after I buy the neighbor's house, because I've already talked to him about buying it, and like it's a great deal that I'll be getting. So I was like, after I buy his house, I don't think I'm going to buy any more real estate. I think I'm just going to dump everything into crypto. Like, real estate's awesome from like many different standpoints, like the leverage being one of the biggest things that I find from like people scaling their portfolio relatively quickly. But I was like, I don't see myself buying more real estate. Like I see myself buying.
I don't see myself touching real estate ever in my fucking life after this moment. I'm sorry, guys, but I've learned too much too quick, and I caught the bug because the percents aren't there. It's just not. It's not there per workload. If you already have a house that you're living, and this is my opinion, guys. If you have kids, then just do another conversation. Get away from here. But like, as far as me, it's like I'd rather every penny I put into crypto, and now it's not just Hex, right? Because I'm going to just assume that Pulse will be out here within the next 3 months. So these single-sided staking opportunities on pulsex, they're just disgustingly valuable. I mean, it's disgusting.
Talk us through that. Like, what is because like GRC, he owns a house, he's renting it out, right? Like I own this house, it's a duplex, I'm renting it out, probably going to be buying more. Bullish, who's a friend of ours who is also into real estate, and we're talking about this kind of thing, and it seems like you've already like went through the process of where we are right now. Yeah. Can you talk about that, like your mental process, but then also like just the journey of that?
Yeah, so I mean, real estate, I still love real estate. I'm still passionate about it. And I mean, I probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for real estate, right? Because enlisted in the military, honestly, you make shit money. You get a lot of benefits, a lot of your needs, basic needs are taken care of, but you have very little money to say invest or whatever. So I was very fortunate to run into my mentor at UCF. I was very fortunate to start leveraging the ability of once I joined the military to use the VA loans and get those properties, and I was able to use those properties to invest in crypto and stocks and other stuff. And again, at the time, kind of diversify my portfolio. But as I think all three of us are very similar in this. Is I think we get very obsessive when we find something like we like or we think is game changer or something like that. Yeah, we get obsessive, right? Like we go down the rabbit hole and we sometimes never come back. And and I learned when I started it, and I probably took the balls deep approach as you can with crypto, going into jumping into the deep end with mining, and like I had to make it work because I dumped a bunch of money into it. And so like I just started learning the ins and outs, and very quickly I just saw it was just the proof of concept has been done. Bitcoin has done it. And I just realized like it is a superior asset class. If you find the right asset to buy and hold, it just outperforms everything. So like I'm very efficient when I'm like mapping out my game plans when it comes to just wealth generation. And again, like this was my goal when I was a young kid. I just didn't want to be in the position of my parents, good people that had unnecessary strain due to financial issues. And so that was my ultimate goal from a very young age. And so I was always seeking it out. And to me, real estate was that for a long time. It provided me the means to diversify and invest into other assets, including crypto. But then I quickly started to shift and learn that crypto just outperforms everything. Like it just, an asset class like this hasn't existed before.
Was there a moment for you, like, because you were probably still you're like, hey, I'm gonna just continue to get real estate.
Yep.
It's been treating me well. I'm making cash flow.
Yep.
I don't pay any taxes on this shit. It's awesome. I use leverage.
There was.
And then okay, talk us through what was that moment where you're like,
yep,
you're pulling some out and the whole steps in that.
Yep. So I went through the first cycle, 2016, 2017. I got my feet into it, the mining, pump and dumps, learning, right? I was just learning the hard way, getting burned, making money, getting burned, making money, getting burned. And eventually I was just like, okay, I'm not ready. I'm not seeing what I need. Consolidate it and move back, focus on real estate. And again, real estate's always been my first love. It gave me, it was what I knew best. And then I could use it to funnel into whatever I needed. So continue to acquire multi-unit properties, always moving, living in one, renting out the rest. And it really did take until Hex and the Richard Hart product where I was just like, this is it. And this is something I also promised to myself early on back in, like when I missed the first opportunity of Bitcoin, when I knew about it early on, it just didn't make sense because I didn't have a good understanding of what money was, what essentially all this stuff is just consensus, right? People's belief that this has a certain value. And I wasn't mature enough in my financial IQ at that time to understand that. And I just promised myself I wouldn't miss this opportunity again if I saw it. And so when I found Richard, I recognized the intelligence. I found Hex. I recognized the market fit. I recognized that it had the ability to revolutionize the space. It was just a no-brainer. Because I'd already seen what crypto can do, and you find the right one. Why would you not pour everything into it? And then this asset also earned me passive yield, true passive yield. I don't have to go and worry about tenants destroying my place. I don't have to worry about vacancy. I don't have to worry about repairs. There is a lot of time that goes in investment in real estate. And like I said, I've been looking for that passive income, and that opportunity came along, and I made that promise with myself. I wouldn't miss it again. And like, this is where people fall into this kind of trap where they have the knowledge, they have the experience, but they just never pulled the trigger. They never pulled the trigger. And so what happened? Yeah, go ahead.
A question on this. So you're in crypto, because I made the same thing that happened with Tesla. You're in crypto. You watch this gigantic run up in 2017, right? The tail end of 2017. You're like, oh my goodness. And you were not partaking in that. And then you watch it like come back down, and you're like, I will never ever do this again. That is kind of
I was in that one. I was talking further back. When I first heard of Bitcoin back in like 2010, 2011. Like I heard of it. I was just kind of touching back on that. It's like I heard of it, but to the time it just didn't make sense to me, right? I was just like, oh, what's this digital money, right? I was just like, oh, that doesn't make any sense and stuff like that. But I missed that opportunity, right? I missed that opportunity to buy Bitcoin for pennies or mine it for free or any of this stuff. But I was too young. My financial IQ wasn't there, and I just missed that opportunity. I was in 2016, 2017. I got burned. I made money, all that stuff. But it really, that clicking moment, like you were saying, where you realize like, hey, I should start pouring more of my financial assets, everything into it, was really that Richard Hart and that Hex product, because everything just started checking the boxes, right? Monetizing time, yield, truly passive income, intelligent driven founder, like everything you could want in investment and speculation and all this stuff. Everything was getting crossed for me. So I was just like, I'm not going to miss the next Bitcoin. I'm not going to miss the next Ethereum. This is it. Like, this is my shot. And I made that promise to myself very early on. And so then I started selling off my property. So I was like, okay, I bought this 4-unit building. I've been renting it out. I'm going to sell this one first. Sold it. Dumped all the money early on into Hex. Cool. Stimmy check came out. $1,200. I don't need $1,200. Threw that in. That, if you go look on $1,200 stimulus check on Twitter right now, it's I think over like $500,000 or some maybe it's $250,000 now, depending on.
This is at the beginning of 2020 then.
Yeah,
or roughly
when
when
the
you sold your
stimulus
first
check
property.
came down in March.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look, but it was early. It was pretty early on in Hex. So I
you,
sold
but
that.
you started dismantling back about 2 years ago then?
Yep, started dismantling
ahead.
2 years ago. So since Hex has launched, I've dismantled my real estate portfolio. I've sold every property that I could, and like I said, I'm on my final one now, and that's about to get sold, and then that's going to go into Hex. I've just slowly, but I just found, to me, it's a waste of energy. It's a lack of efficiency when you've had the superior product and you're not going to put everything you can into it, because like I have the proof of concept now after 2+ years. Like, I see where we're going. And this is why I always find like moon math and price prediction and all this stuff comical, because I know eventually like this thing just becomes a black hole. So like my vision is so far out. Again, it's a better Bitcoin. Bitcoin did 6.9 million X. If you don't think Hex is going to do a 6.9 million X at some point, I just think you're wrong. And I mean, you can have a different opinion, but I think you're wrong. It's going to do a 6.9 million X. So why would I buy a duplex when I can buy Hex right now at 15 cents and we're sitting at a couple thousand X? Why would I buy a duplex right now? It doesn't make logical sense for me to invest my money in that asset right now. So like, as time goes on, cool, I'll buy a house for me to live in. All right. Do I want to diversify into anything else? Maybe someday when like I'm like sitting at God whale status and I just have an ungodly amount and maybe I want some other stuff. But I mean, for the most
you are
part,
diversified now. You have another blockchain under your belt.
Oh, I know, I know, dude.
They made Motley diversified, like the only way they could.
The Richard Hart product way. Yeah.
And because now it is a different product. These are two different products. You know what
different.
I mean? It's crazy because you are now diversified. I have pulsex, pulsechain. If you sacrifice for whatever else that you might think will be good, that's diversification in a way. You also never know. Some things just pop the fuck off. Dogecoin just popped the fuck off. So I always try to never recommend anything but pulsechain and Hex. But like, I also try not to say that all the other projects are going to get zero.
So you always keep an open mind. You're always looking, right? If I didn't have that open mind or always looking or be open to listening to intelligent people, I would have missed Hex, right? I would have missed out on my third opportunity of life-changing wealth. So like, you have to always stay open. Now, and this is a little bit, probably be a little bit of a controversial take, but like, as much as I think pulsechain and pulsex is going to absolutely crush and kill and be amazing, it doesn't exist yet, and it's not proven, right? Like, it could fail. It could be a bust. It could not see all these crazy gains people are predicting, like, or maybe it takes longer than what people are thinking, but like, it still doesn't exist yet. It's not proven. And to me, like, Hex is going to be here for the test of time, and it has features that are going to make it last for the test of time. Pulsechain and pulsex still have to earn their merits. The pumpamentals, the tokenomics, everything in place makes sense, and it's going to be amazing. Like, but you still need market adoption. You still need investors. You still need everything to come in place. And like, we will see when it launches. We'll see what it does. I think it's going to do absolutely amazing. But again, it hasn't earned its stripes, right? Hex has earned its stripes. So to me, it's just the no-brainer play as of today.
What is your personal take on pulsex versus pulsechain.
pulsex wins. So-
Hey, that's where I was leaning to.
Yep.
But
I'll tell you why.
Please.
I'll tell you why. So, and by wins, right? It's all relative. I think honestly, over time, they're all going to do phenomenal. Where you're really just counting peanuts. It doesn't really matter. They're going to do hundreds, thousands of X would be my guess. I think pulsex just rips harder and faster than pretty much maybe everything in the Richard Hart ecosystem. It's going to be interesting to watch. Now, I think the consensus, and I'm probably one of the most embedded people in the community. Like I'm usually my finger's usually on the pulse of like, no pun intended, on the community's pulse because like this is all I do. Like I've retired. I focus on this ecosystem. I focus on crypto. Me and some friends made a company. Like this is all we do, 24/7. This is what I love. And so I think the common consensus now is we had the pulse chain sacrifice. There was a couple factors that went into that. Not many of us knew much about a bonding curve, how it worked, or anything like that. So there was a couple factors. One, a lot of people just didn't know about the pulse chain sacrifice, so they didn't get in. They didn't know about it. They were late to the show. They didn't get in. Okay, cool. You have that. Two, the people that were around, bonding curve, sacrifice phase. Again, kind of speaking back to Richard Hart's brilliance, a token launching like this has never really been done before. And it was to get around security laws and all this stuff with the political statements and everything like that. And it never been done before. So we were learning a bonding curve, 5% compounding. Here's your flat rates at the end. So we're playing with stuff, right? And so once the sacrifice phase ended, and then we got told the news like, hey, there's going to be another sacrifice for pulsex. It's going to be the decentralized exchange. It's going to be a fork of Uniswap. It's going to have all these cool features. Cool. So now what do you have? You have a community that's armed with the knowledge of a sacrifice phase. They understand how a bonding curve works. The people that were in all of a sudden feel like, oh, I don't think I invested enough in Pulse Chain, right? It's just is what it is. We always want more, regardless of how much you sacrifice. You could be the top whale and still like, I could use more, right? Like you always want more. It's just human nature. So you have the people that were in that want more. You have the new people that learned about pulsex and heard about Pulse Chain and see the what Hex has done, and are like, okay, cool, I'm going balls out. Like pulsex is my chance to make it. So they dump a shit ton of money into pulsex, maybe even more than they should, right? But they put a bunch of money in pulsex, and then their thought process is, cool, I'll have a giant bag of pulsex. It's still going to run really well. I can exchange it day one. I don't even have to wait for the bridge to come up. I can exchange it for Pulse Chain. I can get my allocation of Pulse Chain. I'll have a giant bag of pulsex, and then they'll have their hex that they got in the copy beforehand. So you see it in the community right now. It's just like, I'm going to trade. I have a larger bag of pulse. Most people have a larger bag of pulsex than they have Pulse Chain, or they don't have Pulse Chain altogether. They're going to make that initial swap. Now you have awesome people in the community like K4K that realize how, and I 100% agree with them, that pulsex is probably going to rip faster. But I think what we see, mainnet launches, I think you're going to see the ratio swing and essentially Pulse Chain's favor, where it's going to cost multiple pulsex to get one Pulse Chain. And you're going to see that. So you're going to see essentially an initial dump of pulsex for Pulse Chain because people are going to rebalance their portfolios, which what they think is the right amount of Pulse Chain. Either they missed it or they don't think they invested enough in it. Now, after that, I think you just see pulsex go on a tear, and this is why. Pulsex has, in my opinion, just better tokenomics as far as causing the price to pump. So with Pulse Chain, you have deflationary, right? All the coins that are minted, that's going to be all the coins that exist. Every time someone's doing a transaction, there's going to be a fee. It's paid to the validators, and then I think 25% is burned. Okay, so you're getting 25% of the fees burned. It's going to continue to deflate. People are going to buy it to speculate on new blockchain. Layer 1s are really popular right now. Based on past history, though, blockchains, when they first come out, they're a little bit slower movers than other stuff, right? Like they eventually do crazy hundreds of X, thousands of X, but it takes them, you kind of a 1 to 2 year kind of feeling out process where they start to ramp up. And again, that just comes with adoption, more people coming on, building, etc. Now, with pulsex, it just makes sense to me that it goes on a tear faster, earlier than Pulse Chain, because you have deflationary, just like Pulse Chain. So amount of coins that are minted, that's all that's going to exist. Now, it's the premier exchange, right? The AMM bot's going to go around. It's going to harvest all the from Sushi Swap, Pancake Swap. It's going to be the premier chain. All the liquidity is on pulsex. So to me, pulsex is the heart of pulse chain. All roads, all the arteries, everything leads back to pulsex. So all the transactions, everything go through it. I believe it is 21 or 22% of the fees that go through pulsex go to a buy and burn function. So it's going to buy up its own tokens. So it's got a constant buy pressure and then burns them deflationary. So you get the same deflationary effect of pulse chain except faster. And then you add the buy function onto it, which is just massive. Constant buy pressure is huge. Then you have single-sided staking, which is also absolutely amazing. And this is where I think it also beats out pulse chain, and people don't realize this. Unless you have billions of pulse tokens, delegating to a validator is not going to pay very well in the beginning. Because again, new blockchain, yes, you're copying over the system state, but the more people, more adoption that comes over, then it'll start paying more and more fees. But early on, you're going to get teeny amounts of pulse for delegating your pulse chain. It's just not going to be the passive income that people think it's going to be. It's going to be much smaller, I think, initially. And people are going to be disappointed, right? So they're going to be looking for other forms of yield. So pulsex provides that in single-sided staking. A lot of people don't know about liquidity farming and impermanent loss. It's a slightly more advanced topic for crypto. So single-sided staking gives them the set it and forget it method that we all love with Hex. So you just stake it. There is no permanent loss. You get third-party tokens dropped to you for free. Dump the hell out of them. Keep them. They run up on a 10x, 100x. Then you dump them, sell them for what you want. Hex, pulse chain, pulsex, you name it. But no jeopardy to you losing your coins due to a permanent loss. So already that's huge over delegation, in my opinion.
Any talk on incentive token game theory yet, or is that locked?
No, I've tried.
I've tried to
ask Richard like 3 or 4. I've spammed his stuff up a couple times, trying to ask if he's gone into it. So there is a pulse plan theory chat that there's like, I don't know, like 80 of us in, and I usually just a fly on the wall because there's a lot of smart people in there, and I haven't been in there a while. I need to go sift through it and see if they've been talking about the incentive token. They should be, because that's about the last thing we have to hammer out. Everything else is pretty much done.
There's a lot of game theory on that though, for people that want to do. If there's incentive on that, it could change a lot.
Did you guys talk? So I don't know if you listened to the Telegram interview from in France, like last night it came out, 63 minutes long. I listened to it while I was doing work at a computer last night. It's on Twitter, but it goes over to Telegram, and it's a French interview with Richard Hart. It's like a little slow because yeah. So you should check it out.
Is this breaking news right now?
This came out. I don't know. I was like, I figured you guys would know. I was like, you guys are into it.
Wait, what do you mean French? Was Richard speaking French, or?
Well, there was a translator. So it was a translator.
Human translator there.
Grab the link for us, Sam. I did not.
Yeah, can you pull it up, Sam?
Yeah, I will pull it up.
What if he's doing sneaky like interviews?
Well, here's the thing. He talked about this openly. This is the first time, and I'm not into it. I've been 45 days, right? So I don't know the context of things. But he talked about this in terms of PRC type token or the PTR or whatever it is.
Well, PRT is different than so people are mixing these up. So party token right now, that is for single-sided staking of pulsex, and what all that means right now is essentially people that want to airdrop their tokens to a new community. What they do is like, hey, we'll allocate 5% of the tokens to pulsex stakers. And that could be anything, right? It could be random third-party.
Motley, you just need to come back on again and do another and come back on if you have time. Talk. Yeah. Whoops, let me shield it.
But the party token and incentive token are two different things. Just so you're not.
Yeah, I'm confused about that.
Because I actually have never heard of that second one you mentioned. So I'm
PRT or the incentive token.
The incentive token, the other thing that you mentioned, a token that you can airdrop or whatever.
He'll explain it for us.
So the interview, though, in this interview, he talks about
I miss this?
I know.
It came out last night.
What the fuck is going on, dude? I'm a fucking crypto reporter for this motherfucker. I missed it.
So, breaking news here. We got a recap of the interview last night from Richard Hart.
I have yours right here, Motley. I'm going to have yours right here. Just like his, but just the cheaper version, the pleb version.
Yeah.
So he talks about towards the tail half of this, probably the last third, about the incentive token for pulsex and how he doesn't know, right? Because it's going to be based upon the DAO voting and how all that works, right? But that his thought process would be that incentivizing people with ERC20s is probably going to yield the highest rewards due to his thinking on how if you want liquidity there. So the liquidity is in the ERC20, so if you incentivize those people, then they're going to more than likely bring them over there. And then goes on to say, because it's a very heavy hex, like, you know, that was the number one token that was dominated for the sacrifice, that there's probably going to also be a decent amount of incentives between, you know, pulsex, pulse and hex and pulsex, or whatever the case is. But that was the first time I've heard him mention that in terms of the incentive being aimed towards the ERC20s, and I've never heard anybody or heard anything else on it. So
I can elaborate on that. Yeah, please. So I can elaborate on that. And this is like a discussion we had in Pulse Plan chat not too long ago. So again, I'll go ahead and first I'll break apart the two different things. So you have the party token right now, which you get on single side staking for pulsex, and you have incentive token. They're two different things, right? So the single side staking with the party tokens, again, it's new coins. They either want to launch on pulsechain, they want to airdrop on pulsechain, they allocate a certain percentage of tokens. So like, hey, these will go to the people that hold the pulsex, the exchange token. They're staked. We'll allocate a certain amount of our tokens to them. They can test it out. They can see if they like it. They can sell it, whatever. That's given out. So that's what you earn as a party token. You're getting a portion of these people that are building stuff, that are coming over to the chain. They're giving.
And how do you get the party token?
So you will be. So that's single. When you hear single side staking for pulsex, that's how you get the party token. So like, you don't have to worry about a permanent loss. You're not providing liquidity for two pools. You're just providing singles. You're just imagine a stake. There's no time lock on it. You can probably 24 hours. You can probably remove your staking. I haven't played on it yet, guys. So if I say anything wrong, I apologize. I'm just giving you the bare minimum. I've been getting married and stuff, so I haven't got a chance to play around on testnet.
Minor details, bro. Minor details.
yeah. So, but essentially, the third-party tokens are other tokens coming over. They want to allocate a certain amount of tokens to pulsechain people that are on the pulsex and single-side staking. You get those tokens. You can do with them whatever you want. You just have your whatever allocation of pulsex you want to stake. We'll get the third-party tokens, and I believe as of now, there's a hard limit of 10 million pulsex, which is like the equivalent of like $1,000 worth of pulsex if you were on the sacrifice phase, the 10,000 to 1 ratio. I believe that's right. So you have a hard cap of only 10 million. Now you can create another wallet.
What does that mean by hard cap?
So you can only stake up to 10 million pulsex per wallet. So like in the single
side.
Let's say Jim Rat got a billion tokens on pulsex. He couldn't stake all billion on it. It would only be 10 million. If he wanted to essentially have more, he would have to break it up into different wallets. Now it's not impossible, but it's a lot more work on his end, right? Like, it's to deter people, essentially whales. Let's say someone sacrificed a shit ton for pulsex. They come in and they stake billions of tokens. They get a majority of those tokens that were airdropped. Those third party tokens were airdropped. And they could just nuke the price of every project that comes in, right? They're like, all right, cool, thanks for the free tokens, doom, death. Or like, they just essentially took a couple % of the entire project and just dump. So it's essentially deterred whales to come in and just completely consume all those third-party tokens and then just nerf them. No one's going to want to actually distribute tokens if that's the end goal. It's better to essentially disperse it out to the masses as opposed to a few whales just dominating the single-side staking for those third-party tokens. So that's kind of
incredible game theory. Incredible game theory.
I believe so. The DAO is essentially like voting rights. So I believe the DAO will have the ability to try to maybe put in a request later to up those limits, which can get accepted or denied. I think we all know that there's an OA-like figure that has the majority of pulsex and pulsechain. So I think ultimately they'll probably get the final say. But there will be a DAO that can adjust stuff like that in the future if they decide to increase or lower that limit.
So I don't know if this is, I don't know if it's something that I've missed, but when I look at the stuff on pulsex, there's no OA. He gets a percentage of every single fee. Like there's 3% of every single fee that goes to an OA type of an address.
So the OA tokens and the daughter tokens that sacrifice at the end. So have you seen the sacrifice phase where like, okay, so for pulsechain we have 760 million during the volume multiplier, and then pulsex we had about 1 billion before during the volume multiplier phase, and then you had those last couple days at the end where they don't affect the volume multiplier rate. It's just a flat 1.75x on the tokens you sacrifice. You see how there's billions of dollars that get sacrificed during that time for both sacrifice phases.
Okay, I know I did not. I've seen like a linear, almost like a linear decline in the amount of that was sacrificed. I saw a graph like that though.
Yeah, so I mean, pulsex essentially had 1 billion sacrificed during the volume multiplier phase, and then pulsechain had 760 million, I believe, or at least on the Ethereum chain, which was the majority of the sacrifice. And then at the end, VOA or address it. I haven't done the chain analysis, so again, if I speak out of turn, but essentially wallets that can be linked back to potential OA, probably the OA, sacrifice a bunch of Hex, billions and billions of dollars worth. So they're just like Hex, that 80 to 90% of it is controlled by the OA. The same thing is going to take place on pulsechain and pulsex. So it's going to have a majority of the supply. If it's anything like the Hex OA, it's not going to sell those tokens. It does have, so if you listen carefully when Richard Hart speaks, he did say it has the ability to sell 1%. It's allowed to do with 1%. It'll have a 1% token allocation that it can do anything with. So if it sells, don't freak out. He literally prefaced that in the beginning. It's just like, hey, 1% of this is going to be minted and it can be sold. Anything can happen to it. Again, it's not your money. Don't worry about what happens. But the rest of it, the other 70 to 80 something percent that was essentially accumulated via the OA just sacrificing its Hex, is going to be probably in some of the most diamond-handed out of anyone, out of the entire community. So you're going to see a majority of the supply is going to be in very, very diamond hands. And so that's just crazy price positive. But what we were referring to in the pulsex with the DAO, that also means they have the most voting rights in the system. So it's just something to keep in mind. Yeah, we have a vote, and that this is a little bit where that centralization kind of, it's weird, right? Like you want to say it has a little bit of a negative factor because ultimately it comes down to one person that has the final say. But we've also seen if the masses aren't intelligent enough to vote properly, sometimes it's not good to let the masses just have free reign over everything, right?
The masses suck, dude.
Yeah, like we see it. There's a lot of people that are just not educated enough. And then especially in a space like this, when they don't know the repercussions of what they're voting on, they're like, oh, fuck being the 10 million pulsex limit. I want 1 billion or 10 billion. You don't realize that might be some very detrimental repercussions for the ecosystem. So sometimes it's better to put the voting powers in the hands of a few very intelligent individuals as opposed to giving it to the mob and just like greed. I mean, again, right? This is what crypto tries to eliminate, is that human factor where ultimately we're all very greedy. We all want to succeed as much as we can. And so giving the voting power completely to the mob doesn't, 9 times out of 10 never works, right?
Wow. So
guys, 125 viewing. Motley is an algo machine.
That's all you, bro.
Wherever he goes.
Thumbnail.
No, we're in viewer discovery, guys. No one knows how high we can go. It could go 1100% on this show. You never know. In the Hex world, things get crazy. Guys, if you haven't subscribed and stuff, please do all that stuff.
Do it.
I know a couple of my friends from, the homeland that don't know much about what we're talking about. Still subscribe and like all this stuff. This is the most important thing you should be learning about in 2022. That is why I'm doing it every day. I wouldn't be doing
so much to be made, so much opportunity. It's
would
insane.
not be doing this, guys, if the value was not ridiculous. This is insane. This is like Motley and all the older guys, say a couple years older than me. They're just like, I missed an opportunity or two that could have been life changing, and I say I will hold the line here. I'm not missing shit.
I missed out on everything. I got in and I didn't have access to much capital at the time, but like 2 days before the sacrifice ended for pulsex, And before I even got into Hex, I was like, okay, well, this is ending. I will figure out how to get into Hex in a moment, but let me get into pulsex first.
Now, the last 2 days, was that the volume multiplier phase, or was that at the tail end? Because it was a much longer sacrifice phase for pulsex.
It was
1.75. 1.75.
Okay, so yeah, and this was tricky, right? Too, and this is something you had to be careful with pulse chain sacrifice phase. It was kind of okay to do that. You got a little worse rate than you did during the flat volume multiplier phase, where it was 10,000 to 1. But the sacrifice days, the compounding was only, by the end of it, I think it was like, I can't remember, 10 days, or it came out to essentially you had a 2x working against you. Whereas, unfortunately, with pulsex, it was a much longer sacrifice period. The bonding curve went out much longer, so you have 5% compounding, and it ramps up very quickly. So the very tail end days of pulsex, you were looking at like a 9 to like 10x working against you, and then you had the 1.75x to counter a little fraction of that, but you had a lot working against you. So probably not the worst thing. It depends where we start off, and then overall picture is probably okay. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I have a question that somebody asked me on somewhere. I think this is YouTube, and I'm going to pull this up, and I'll have you go through and answer this question, because I think there's a lot of people.
I'll ask the question so I can speak. No, I don't. I just need to make sure my throat's still working. Thanks for the content. This is from Art. Well, I won't say his name. Thanks for the content. I got in on pulsex sacrifice, but missed out on the pulse sacrifice, and I think that's this. A lot of people had that. Go on. Think I should 1-for-1 pulsex for pulse during the first 48 hours, or just try to DCA some capital into pulse for the first few weeks, months of launch? I'll answer this quick, and then Motley can give a more long form answer. I do not agree with chasing. I don't think chasing works. I think when you think you have a play on something, whales have thought of that play 3 times already. And it's mine as well. If you're just an average player, get a nice position, make sure your fiat's coming in strong if possible, and just start to DCA. Because again, we're so early, guys. It's disgusting how RH can make us feel like FOMO before something comes out, because he's so good at marketing. Like literally,
you feel like
we're
you
all like,
I
missed out on pulse chain, and I sacked day 1.
That's good.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like
great marketing.
The marketing is he's ahead of you guys, me included. Like, he's clearly a few years ahead of us as far as knowledge in the space. And his marketing really represents that to me, because the sentiment in the community is like, I'm running out of time and we have not started yet. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
What are your thoughts, Molly? On that question.
Yeah. So on that question, couple things. So the first, we'll probably
should he exchange 1-for-1 for pulse from pulsex, and then or just DCA into pulse?
Yeah. So this is a couple things with this to kind of unpack. So the first 24 to 48 hours is probably not going to be an actual bridge in place, just again for the zero evaluation, tax purposes. So everything's going to be trading on a ratio, right? Well, first of all, we'll even be able to get a 1-to-1 ratio. Maybe
what does
not,
that
right?
mean, trading on a ratio, if you don't?
So the ratio, what he just described, was essentially you're able to do an even trade, right? Like, I'm able to trade you one pulsex for 1 pulse chain. So we're getting 1-to-1, like, so even value essentially across the board. Will he even get that ratio? I think probably not. And if he does, it'll probably be fleeting. I think we probably quickly see the ratio swing where you have to do multiple pulsex for pulse chain. So I think it could be like a 1 to 3, 1 to 5. The ratio could get nuts. And so this is where you have to be careful, right? Because trading is tricky. It's even trickier when you're doing on ratios. If he gets a 1-to-1, I honestly don't see too much harm in it, right? You're just doing 1 pulse chain for 1 pulsex. Probably not going to do too much damage.
True.
Again, you got to think of the long-term horizon. Are you just holding these coins? Okay, if you're getting a 1-to-1 and you're happy to trade 1-for-1 on the coins, that's fine. Now, what gets dangerous is, let's say, because kind of what we talked about earlier, people feel like they miss out on pulse chain. They sacrifice extra for pulsex to make up for it. They just didn't sacrifice enough for pulse chain. I think we're going to see the ratio swing wildly in favor of, essentially, it's going to cost them a lot more pulsex to get 1 pulse chain. And we don't know the value. We won't know the value until the ramp comes on. And you could be getting a horrible value, right? Let's say you're trading 5, 10 pulsex for one pulse chain. Prices come out and they're even, right? You're essentially at like a 5, 10x loss. Again, these are all kind of short-term stuff, but ratio trading is just very dangerous. Trading in general is dangerous. You just get left behind. My overall consensus in like game theory as far as this goes is the whole Richard Heart ecosystem and the tokenomics and everything just makes sense, right? Like I think it's by far the superior system that exists out there. So all I'm ever going to do is you will always have an asset on the Richard Heart ecosystem that's going to be in the process of pumping tremendously. And then you'll have another asset that is dipping. So you can take a very, very, very small percentage of what's pumping and you can reallocate it into whatever assets it's dipping. Because again, for me, my thought process is long term, all these are going to do tremendously. So I can increase my position in the bags by taking whatever's doing the best at the time and then reallocating a small portion of that into what's doing the worst of the time. So to maximize your allocations, right, as you go throughout time. So that's kind of my thought process. Just be careful with ratios, especially before the bridge goes on. If he's getting a 1-for-1 and he just wants more pulse chain and he's willing to give up pulsex, that's fine. If he's having to give up 5, 10 pulsex for one pulse chain, he might be getting a really raw deal. And if he just waited for the bridge to come out, he might have been able to get a better deal.
Because you see that reverse, right? You see that.
Yeah.
Reverse.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think it reverses for sure.
So you seem to be like, and I'm just inferring, like more bullish on pulsex than pulse, and you're most bullish on hex, or at this point it doesn't matter because that's just like going to be
like his position is going to have his, you know what I mean?
It's all about how you frame it too, right? Like what time are we talking? Like again, like I'm just going off what I see. I think people feel like they don't have enough pulse chain. I think that'll be our first. To me, I just see them as opportunities, right? I think the fact that people feel like they need more pulse chain, that's going to be my first opportunity to buy more pulsex, right? Pulsex is going to have faster burning. It's going to have more buybacks. It has single-sided staking that saves you from a permanent loss. Ultimately, everything has to run through pulsex. Remember, it's the heart of the new ecosystem.
Question on the burning thing. So,
yep.
From my understanding, if there's a transaction on pulsex, that causes also a transaction on pulse.
If there's a transaction on pulse,
because it's the main net, underneath it.
If you need to use it for gas,
yes, I believe so.
Right. So wouldn't that also mean they're going to?
I think it's just got to burn at a higher rate. So 22% of the fees. K4K is better with all the numbers, so I don't want to misspeak. But I think pulsex will still have a much higher burn rate, I believe. But I could be wrong. But you know what also goes hand in hand with that? Pulse chain doesn't have the buyback feature, and then pulsex does. So all that's getting burned, it's gonna buy back that pulsex, and then it burns it. So it's
impossible.
It has an intro
added tokenomics. What's that?
Well, I thought there was a 25%.
25% of the fees for pulse chain will be burned. So whatever the fee is, 25% of that will be burned. The rest will be allocated to the validators and the people that delegate. And then so 25% of the fees will be burned. On pulsex, 22% of the fees will be used to buy pulsex, and then that pulsex will be burned.
Oh, okay. So there's a slight difference in that, but there's going to be buying pressure because of that slight difference.
I feel like that slight difference makes it impossible to extrapolate what's going to occur.
Pulsex in my eyes is just much more superior because you have automatic buying pressure that goes along with the burning.
That's interesting because
not automatic. It's got to be a feature that's got to be run by the individual, but essentially there will be constant buying pressure that comes outside of speculation, right? So you have people that are going to be buying these tokens for speculation and everything. This is coming from people using the ecosystem. So as the ecosystem ramps up, becomes more successful, you're just increasing the buying pressure on pulsex. Like pulsex gets disgustingly, like it will melt faces. Like it just, as pulse chain gets more successful, more transactions are going to go through, the buying pressure increase. Remember how I was telling you Uniswap was like has more volume than Binance does? If we even get a fraction of that, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of buy pressure daily for pulsex.
Which I ran the numbers on that thing. I didn't know like what Binance or what Uniswap were, but I was just like, hypothetically, if you have $1 billion of transactions, whether that takes place in a day or over the course of several months or a year, like you just have automatically a portion of that one bill. Like, it's crazy.
I think it just got raised up too by like 10 to 16%. If you guys want like the nitty gritty stuff on this, go to K4K's videos. But like I think it actually just they bumped it up even a little bit more. So yeah, you're looking for like every $1 billion. I think it's like 700,000 that you'll have buying pressure. Like it just, as the chain itself becomes more successful, it just funnels more buy pressure and more burning into the pulsex. It just, to me, it ramps up faster than pulse chain. And remember, like I was telling you, layer ones, they do really well, but they tend to lag behind. It usually takes a little bit longer for them to get going and build up.
So if you have somebody that's going to watch this after this publishes, right? People are still going to watch this, and they're like, "Oh shit, I only have $10,000 to put in, and I'm going to put into one of these 3 projects." Right. And obviously we're not saying you should do anything we talked about, but just in your opinion, should somebody be looking at Hex? Should they be looking at pulsex if they want like the maximal amount of bang for their buck and they've got 10 grand or 20 grand?
To me, it's easy right now because we're talking currently and mainnet hasn't launched, right? So you get Hex. Because right now you get one opportunity to get your Hex copied onto 2 chains. People forget after mainnet launches, like you have to choose on which Hex to buy, right? You have two options now. This is the last chance in the history of Hex that you get to essentially buy it before you get what like the equivalent of a stock split, right? This is the one chance you can buy Tesla and then get it before it splits. So like right now it's easy until mainnet goes live. My advice is buy Hex. To me, it's a no-brainer. You get the stock split, you get both copies, you get it on Ethereum, you get it on pulsechain, and then you can maneuver from there accordingly. And then it goes back to my philosophy that I was talking about earlier. We now have a new ecosystem where we have several richer heart products that have amazing tokenomics. And I think you'll always have an opportunity where one is on a tear, which is pumping a lot harder than anything else, and you can allocate a small percentage of that and put it into what's dumping the hardest, right? And to me, overall, if you're here for the long term, that's just going to be the optimal strategy as building up all your bags together. Is just take what's tearing the most, take a small percentage of it, and reallocate it. So initially, you'll have, let's say you're buying a bunch of Hex, right now, and you get your split. Okay, now you have two Hexes. Now the mainnet goes live. Okay, now you need to start reallocating into. Maybe you want to start reallocating into these other chains. My advice is, bring in some more fiat that you can, whatever you can, use that to buy, but buy what's dipping. And then when whatever you bought that was dipping, it goes on its tear, then you can reallocate it into what was actually pumping earlier. Let's say pulsechain pumped the fastest the first, right? Because people just feel like they didn't have enough of it. Then when the financial kind of teeter-totter switches and now pulsex is ripping and you bought all that pulsex when it was dipping, now you can reapothecate a little bit of that into pulsechain, and then you just play that game going on. And it's not really, it is a little bit like trading, but at the same time it's just taking a small percentage of what's doing really well. Long term, you're just building up larger bags of everything in this ecosystem. And again, this ecosystem I think just changes the game of the entire asset class. So this is where you want to be. If figuring out the way to increase your bags on all this stuff is just the winning strategy.
Motley,
Even if you just had to do liquid, I would choose Hex. Even if there was no stake in it, even if there was no staking involved, none. Like if the option for me to stake, obviously everyone else could still stake to the system, still work. But if it was just not an option for me, I would only buy Hex. You get a double, and then I get play money on the highest appreciating asset on 2 chains. I mean, it's just like you get 2 chains. There's 2 chains, and the system was meant for p-hex. This is here to support p-hex. I mean, that's not the only reason Pulse Chain exists, but that was the idea behind it, I'm sure, because the fees were so out of line.
Motley, I want to thank you for your time. I'd love to have you back on. Cool. I have to run, but we
didn't even get to the incentive token.
We didn't, and I wrote down other questions, and we didn't get to any of these. I would love to have you back on if you want to share some more of your knowledge.
Oh, yeah. I'm free. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm good.
Fantastic. That would be great. We'd love to chat with you.
Sure,
GRC, we'll talk later. Everybody in the comments, thank you. We reached all-time high of 130 live viewers today, so thank you. Anybody who wants to support in any other way, reach out on Twitter. There's going to be links down below, or my YouTube channel. So thank you, everybody. Motley, look forward to chatting with you soon, hopefully,
of course,
in multiple different ways. Talk to you guys soon.
All right, Peace. Later, Sam. All right, Jim Rat. I'll be back in 2 seconds. If you want to address the chat, I'm going to go take a piss.
Yes, sir. Back. Guys, what an incredible time to be alive. I'm going to continue chatting. Who should I get on? Everyone go spam Wendy's. See if he wants to come on. Let's go spam Wendy's. I'll spam me Wendy's. Wendy's for tendies. Wendy's for tendies. Hey guys, now that I have a second, if you're in here, please subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 guys. I'm so excited. Took me roughly 33 days to get to 1,000. It'll take me roughly till the end of the week. But anyway, it's really been fun. This has been awesome. I've really enjoyed myself more than any project I've ever dove into. This is the most intellectually stimulating, and I like that I have to keep up to date with stuff. It's really exciting. It's really fun for me to keep up to date with the crypto stuff, feel like I have a purpose with this stuff, and I'm a really good communicator. So just really happy to be here, guys. It's been just so fun talking to all these guys, having a good time. I'm forgot to spam the chat. Hold on. Guys, hit the subscribe and the like if you haven't already. And I am going to get some heavy hitters on real quick. Let's see. Boom. Mr. Wendy's. Let's talk to Mr. Tangent. Sorry for the delay, guys. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, God, it's burning pulses. Hey, K4, if you're bored, DM me. Hey, OMFE, nice to meet you. Hey, Jim Rat, have you been seen the Bro Science Dom Mazziti videos? I have not. I might have. Bro Science. Yeah, I probably have actually, but I haven't watched any. I haven't absorbed any any bodybuilding content in a while because I just don't care anymore. Like I still work out, obviously, but I mean, obviously. Just kidding, guys. That's my shtick. Hector ES, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that. I don't think I've seen you. I think I have seen you in before. K4K says the burning of pulse is based on a super small fee. Okay, cool. Par excellence. Has Tangent recovered from this weekend yet? No, Tangent was partying with babes all weekend. So let's see. If he's on right now, it'll be 12:47 a.m. So yeah, he's asleep. I mean, 12:47. Yeah, the other way. Justin, as always, Eagle AI, as always, Caroline Tran, thanks for coming. It's always nice to have some girls in the chat because it's a saucy all the time. It's always a saucy up in Hex in the morning. Oh, here's Motley. Let's get it.
What's up, bro? Wendy's for Tendies is coming on. He's got to get some coffee first.
Yeah, tell him to get his coffee and tell him to, dude, he sent me some merch and I'm so stoked on it, dude. I'm so stoked. I'm never gonna wear anything else, dude.
Bro, that's my whole wardrobe. It's
I bet
it's Legion, it's pulsex, and Hex. That's all my stuff is. And you know what's funny too? It's just like rocking the brand wherever you go. Like it's people, because this is probably the most people struggle with because they're not like they're not extroverts like you. So like they have trouble starting those conversations. So just going around and wearing like a Hex pin and you have a Hex necklace and you got a Hex hat on and all this stuff. People are like, what is that? Is that your company brand? Like, what are you wearing? And the logo is cool, right? Like they pop. And so then it just opens the door for the conversation for you guys to let them know what it is, tell them about it, share the information, onboard them. And so like wearing the merch and representing the brand is a huge way to just open the door into conversations and getting people onboarded. And a lot of people don't even realize that. And now, I think at some point I'll probably not wear as much as Hex becomes more and more successful and more of the population becomes aware of it. Yeah, I might have to readjust my my wardrobe. But right now,
well, don't worry, we'll be out there in the public. We'll have an army by then in the public, and you can just kind of slide into the shadows and watch us all. Yeah. Because that's at the end of the day. Once these guys reach a certain level, it's like you have to protect yourself, your family, and you got your business. Like, what else can you really do, Motley, at this point? Like, you have a family, you have a business, and you have a full-time Hex life doing all the stuff that comes into it. It's like, as an adult, it's like when you decide to take the plunge into, it's like, this is your full-time life. There's nothing better than this. There's nothing better than this, dude. Nothing better. We're just learning how to make money for real cheap. No, we're actually making the rates that we should be making, probably. Like if the systems were not rigged for us to fail.
It was funny because I I have this. I usually every like 6 months I have this debate with one of my buddies. He's like a financial advisor, and like he always makes a comment like when I post stuff on my personal social media about Hex and like tell me that, like I need to diversify my portfolio, and I always give him like updates. I was like, bro, you told me to do the same thing like 6 months ago. If I did that, I would have missed out on like 1,500%, not including the interest. Not to mention it's we're in that like 80% correction. And I was like, what? And I was like, what do you want me to diversify into? Like, what do you want me, like, what asset, like, what yield generating asset do you want me to diversify into? I was like, I guarantee you what Hex did in an 80% correction over 6 months. Like, I still earn more yield, more appreciation than you've earned on any asset. I was
Yeah,
just
but
like,
80% off
why would I
1,100% is not small. It's big amount. It's a 5x. It's like, you know, people, when I got into Hex, it hasn't even been that long, and everyone's been funding Hex all this time. I'm pretty new, and it's done a 5x since I've been here. No, it's at a 6x or 7x from when I first got in, and I'm relatively new. I don't know what people are complaining about. Like, the price chart looks phenomenal. I mean, it's the best looking price chart in crypto. Yeah, it's not doing a straight trend line to the fucking moon, of course. Like, but if you know about Hex and you know about Bitcoin and you've looked at Bitcoin's chart, you just know it's going to hold up better long term.
yeah, it's just I just find it funny though, because like I always try to get him to look into it, and it was kind of the same thing. He got lazy with it, saw a lot of the scam articles, but like I was just trying to tell him, especially with what's coming out with this new ecosystem, these new products. I told him like in the meantime, like the amount of Hedron like I was airdropped for free just because I had Hex stakes. I was just like, bro, like I dropped the dollar value on him. I was like, I got that for free, and I was like it breaks the paradigm of like it's too good to be true. Like, where else can you get crazy amount of money just dropped in your wallet for free? Like what I got airdropped was life-changing money for a lot of people, and I got it for free. And like there's more of that to come in the future. And it's like if you're not investing time to learn more about the space these days, like you're doing yourself a disservice. He's in the business of being a financial advisor to other people. He's doing his clientele a disservice. It's just like, man, I and this is why I continue to just promote and push back on this stuff, because like people need to be investing their time in this. Like, it's the only way to break free of like the broken system that we're in these days. So like when I find people that are just so hard nosed and just refuse to look into it, I'm just like, the opportunity cost is insane.
Yeah, but to some people, they don't want the freedom. Some people
I
don't really.
guess.
Some people don't want. They don't know they want because you're confident and have business ideas. So freedom to you sounds amazing. You know what I mean? Like, freedom to you sounds like, wow, maybe I can do my plans that I act my
Scary
dreams.
to others.
But to others, they're like, wow, my potential could be like. I bet you a lot of people would be upset if they had $100 million right now, because they know they wouldn't know how to deal with it, and everyone would notice that they don't know how to deal with it.
Dude,
You know
if I listened to him about diversifying early on, Hex, when he was telling me like, I remember like the first gains I made, and he was just like, yeah, like get out or take your profits, da 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 da. If I listened to him, like I wouldn't be able to like retire today if I wanted to, right? Like I would have, it would have been the worst advice ever anyone had ever given me to. But like I think for myself. Like I'll take inputs, I'll reevaluate, but at the end of the day, like you're responsible for your own decisions. And to me, it was just wrong. It was the wrong move to make. And now I can be retired if I want to, and he'll probably have to work until he's 60, 70 years old. And his job is a financial advisor. Like, what a joke.
Financial advisors right now getting RIP'd from the whole entire world, while Bitcoin, even just Bitcoin alone, makes them look stupid, because they're still telling people not to go into Bitcoin and that it's risky. It's like, oh, even us, we're like, oh my God, crypto is so boring and old. Like, we'll never make gains off of it. That's really the only argument. I don't care about the energy preservation and stuff. I like Bitcoin and all. Obviously, the
I don't like that. I don't like that argument as much either. That's probably one of my least favorite arguments. Richard makes the green energy, but I think he's just trying to.
Well, no, that's just political jargon.
Yeah, he's just hitting on different sects of people to get.
But you know geopolitics. You know how much they can make those things into the biggest deal in history for no reason. They'll do it too. They will do it. If there's incentive for them to say that it's ruining the earth, they'll just say it's 99% ruining the earth. They'll literally be like, 100% of the earth's cancer is caused by Bitcoin. They will say it. They'll say it, and you know they will. And my mom will be like, Bitcoin is 100% the reason we're all going to die.
What's up, Wales? What's up, Brand? So
Wales, bro. Guys, the numbers are going crazy. I've gotten like 50 subs since I started, or like 30
That's
subs
awesome.
since I started. I'm having the time of my life. Streaming is way better. I don't feel like I was driving 3.5 hours a day, Motley, for years.
3.5 hours? What were you doing?
I was going house to house. So I had different clients at different houses all the time.
What was your job prior to?
So I was in the canine training industry, but I just worked.
Okay.
I don't want my business was kind of specific, so I don't want to tell everyone what it was. But
Okay, because I can look it up.
Yeah, it's like a specific ass like niche, but like I
Yeah.
sold things for canine, basically.
Okay.
People that had dogs,
Don't give
people
too many.
that got new puppies, stuff like that. I provided them with every service they could be provided.
Okay, very cool. That's an awesome job to have.
Yeah, and you think it's but like 3 years in, 5 years
I mean,
in, you
just
just
because
want
I
to
like
take the little
dogs.
puppies. Then you want to after 5 years, you want to take the puppy when you like walk into the other room to wash your hands. You just want to squeeze the damn thing. You're like, I'm so sick of you little fluff balls. Like they're crazy and they're so because
Glad you're
everyone
out of
gets
the
the
business
golden
now.
doodles now. Everyone gets.
I don't
the
like golden doodles that much.
Me neither. It's like Bitcoin at this point. Everyone's got it, and and they suck. It's like. Yeah, no, I know. I was afraid literally just by like pure ratios of driving that I was just going to die in a car accident because I was on the road so much. Literally. I was like, chances of me dying is like 10 times higher than everyone else. And I was in a little transit. I wasn't in no freaking, like I was in a thing that was meant to get smashed. Yeah, dude, I needed to get a lawyer just to get my insurance to like cover me. It's
Traveling doggy vet.
a doggy vet. That's fine. I wish I was a doggy vet.
Caroline says no. Give her the puppies. Don't strangle them. Yeah, maybe it's good you're out of the business now.
Yeah. No, I love dogs. I'm just like, oh god, all these wires in the house.
You've
now.
had a
just
lifetime of dogs.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, there's no hair anywhere. There's no dogs, and I was also installing electric dog fences too.
Yeah.
Myself, like literally trenching the wire and running it to the house, cutting through the wall, wiring it into the house, like the whole thing. I did it. I was doing
like ditch digging for a living.
Dude, I was making fucking bank though, but like once I got hooked, just like you said, once I got addicted to crypto, I had no choice. My work was just losing effort. I didn't give a fuck. Like I was like, crypto's amazing. I was literally going into people's houses to sell dog shit and leaving with like a spreadsheet about fucking Hex.
Brutal.
Like,
bro, I was doing that shit in the Navy. Like, so my shore duty, I was doing recruiting as I was getting out, and like I would have an earpiece in 24/7. I'd have my computer up. I'd be like doing everything, and it was funny because in recruiting you have to get like a certain amount of people like into the Navy every month. Like you need contracts, and like I was really good at my job, so like I was really good at like talking to people and like sales and all that, and so. I'd always make my quota, so like they could never say shit to me. They're like, "Oh, you should be doing this." So like, "Yeah, but you have your contracts for this month, right?" Like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right," and I didn't care anymore. I was just completely focused on this 24/7, just learning, just trying to absorb as much as I can.
Are we all just a certain personality type that end up here?
A lot of us are. A lot of us are very similar.
Some people aren't hyper motivated, of course. Like that's just not everyone's gig. But like, okay, that's us because we're like putting ourselves out there. You're creating a business. Like obviously, there's like levels to like what people want to do, but there's also people that dig into stuff that's just not putting their face out there, and they don't seem like they're doing as much. But like a lot of us just sit here and stream a lot, so it seems like we're really active. And I am active now, but like before, I don't know. There's just the Hex community is full with so many brains and so many minds of people that are deep thinkers. You know, they want to know about freedom. They want to know about corruption. They don't, not necessarily because it helps their pocketbooks, because they're really interested in what's going on. They're like, what the fuck is going on? People are talking about conspiracies. Y'all think we care about conspiracies and the Hex price? No, these guys are just thinking critically all the time about everything. And that's what I like. I hate fluff. I hate BS. I hate shills. I hate all that shit. I've always hated it. It ruined the bodybuilding industry, and I hate to see it ruin the Hex industry because bodybuilding social media is ruined. It's over. It's just 16-year-old kids on steroids.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's fucking 16 I'm not exaggerating the age. There's 16 to 21-year-old kids. A 28-year-old.
I see it at the gym now. You can tell.
And you can buy them legally, the steroids.
Yeah, just get a doctor to write you a note.
Well, no, not even that. They sell them for lab rat use only online.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just like they're just like one molecule off from testosterone, and they just sell it in a bottle and say it's for rats. It's disgusting. I'm not saying I've taken them before; they actually work, and they're not disgusting if you know what you're doing.
It does say Gym Rat Crypto up there. I don't know. I don't know.
No, I am not. I'm not saying I would never do it again. But like, if
how old are you now?
28.
28.
You're 31, man. You're just we're both young as fuck, brother.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting my gray hairs in over here now. Don't worry.
I'll tell you what. When I sleep with my arm like stuck like this, my shoulder gets so effed up. I sometimes wake up late. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to move my arm for a week. And I bought these 2 things that massage your hands, and they're like these little contraptions. They go over your hands. Yeah, you just shove them on your hands. It's so freaking cool. So where the fuck is Wendy's for tendies?
He's probably making a mocha frappuccino. With
is he one of those guys that likes a foamer, like with a lot of calories in it?
I think he used to be. I could be wrong. Was he a barista? I might
We've all been baristas.
I might.
Have you ever been a barista?
I might be making shit up. No.
What was your first job? Like stupid
construction
job.
I did construction.
Yeah.
I started doing construction work at like 14. So like I started working for my doctor, and he was always having construction projects. So like I was working under carpenters, doing concrete work, sandblasting, welding, electrical, all that stuff. I was just learning a bunch of different construction kind of jobs and trades, drywall, roofing, you name it, I've done it. And it was really good. It helped build a lot of work ethic in me early. And then from there I used to work at gyms, then I did personal training, and then I eventually just did
so you went to school then? So you did personal training and then you went back to school?
No. So I got my personal training license when I was at UCF because they paid for it. So I got it then. And then after I finished up there, then I did the nuclear engineering for the Navy. And that was the last real job I had. Besides being like
nuclear engineering sounds definitely like a real job,
dude. The title sounds way more advanced than what you actually do.
It sounds like there's a button on your desk and you're just ready to nuke it.
Yeah.
You're just like, no, I'm
close,
sure it's more just like you're doing like blueprints and shit.
No, it was the operation of the actual reactor plant on a carrier. So like
I
worked on the mechanical. So you had electricians and mechanics, and so I worked on the mechanical side. So I worked on 2 of the main engines, 2 ship service turbo generators, which provide all the power for the ship. Worked on distilling units that provide all the clean water for the ship, all the lube oil systems, all the valves, all the mechanical stuff that goes in the plant. And then you had the electricians that did the same thing except electrical side. But yeah, it was fun. Learned a lot. Had a lot of cool people, really smart people. A lot of them I was able to convert into Hex pretty easy because a lot of them, like I said, they're just super smart. And as long as you
they
can
also
explain
thought
Hex
you
well,
were smart.
they got it. Kind of.
Well, you know what I mean.
I consider myself a dumb nuke. But I mean,
you probably a dumb nuke is a smart dude.
the ones that listened early on are pretty much like they could retire if they wanted to, and then you have the people that picked it up a little bit later. But a lot of my nuke friends picked up pretty early on Hex, and they understood how valuable it could be. But no, going back to what you were saying earlier, I think it's really interesting. I kind of pondered this a lot. Just the community live, just like. I wonder what it is that got such a group of like-minded individuals together, because like you're saying, it's like, are we all like that similar? Like we believe in a lot of the same stuff. A lot of us have the same work ethic. A lot of us don't like the fluff and
maybe
bullshit.
We're all narcissists. Or something.
Maybe
we're all. No, you know
I don't think so. Not where I was going with it. I think it's
like.
I just wonder what adds more weight. Was a lot of us, I think, were drawn to Richard, which I think, again, he just tells you the hard truths, which I appreciate a lot. You see a lot of that in the military background. Like, we don't want people to give us a bunch of fluff or pat our egos or whatever, right? Like, we just want you to shoot it straight and just be done with it. Like, we like that. Whereas I think a lot of people these days that are sheltered and the wokeism and all that stuff, they want the pleasant lies instead of the hard truths. And like a lot of us in the military world, people that are kind of seeking those real conversations and no fluff and no bullshit. Like I think a lot of us were just drawn to Richard's personality. Then you have the hex code, which instills a lot of values in you, which doing what you say you're going to do, right? Like you make a stake, you're going to live up to what you say. Just the hard locking feature, delaying gratification. There's so many good behaviors and stuff that comes from it. I don't know. It just seems like we have a really amazing group of people that have fixated on a financial product, a founder, and it's awesome. Super smart people, ambitious people, people that are willing to build, entrepreneurs. Like if you need something done in this community, you can find someone that has that talent or skill, right? Graphic artists, coders, engineers, medical professions, lawyers, like you name it, our community can pretty much handle it. And I think that's another thing that makes us successful, right? Like we can reach out to the community and just continue to build and find those things that we need to continue to be successful, because there's a lot of talented people in our community.
Yeah, extremely talented. And if you use people, guys, just use them. They'll answer your questions. You don't need money to do anything if you're part of something bigger. Well, you know what I mean? Like I don't have much extra money and I never had a problem doing any of this stuff because everyone's always willing to help me. But I'm also asking them for help. I'm not telling them to do shit for me. And I'm asking, hey, can you teach me how to do this so that I can do it effectively? Like that's all I'm really asking. And of course, people love to help you if you come at it from that angle. If somebody came up to me at the gym and he was 16 and he was like, hey, you look like you're really good at the gym. Would you give me some pointers? I'm a new kid. I'd be like, oh my God, this is incredible. Sure. Like this thing. Yeah,
because you at some point were that kid and you would have loved that. You would have loved that opportunity and like ability for like someone to like mentor you. Like again, it's just like kind of one of the philosophies I live my life by. Like when you become successful or you're good at something, like pay it forward, right? Like because you change the world when you do that. When you take that young man or whatever and you teach him how to work out properly, and you know him having a better physical life and better health and all that stuff is only going to transpire and overflow into everything else. His mental health, he's going to be able to function better. He's going to create the next cool business or invention. Like you never know what transpires from that, but that was just from you doing a good act of like what you're good at, which is knowing your gym, knowing your body, and you took him under your wing. Like Rob, when I met Rob in the gym, like I helped him work out. We did workouts together, and then he gave me his knowledge in real estate. That how like jumpstart me where I am today. And now I've gotten to, it's funny because it's come full circle. I've gotten to go back and be able to help him in crypto, something he's completely clueless on. And I turned like $7,000 that he gave me into like $300,000. And he's just like, what the heck? Like, you know, and I did that within such a short time frame. Like he just would never be able to see anything like that in real estate. And so now I've gotten him into pulsechain and pulsex now. And he doesn't need the money anymore. The dude's got millions and millions of dollars, but now it's those stakes have turned into just like, it's going to pay for his daughter's education, wherever she wants to go to. Right. He's got a daughter and a son now, and it's gonna pay for their college or do whatever they want. And it's cool because I get to pay it back to him. All that knowledge he bestowed on me years ago, I get to pay it forward now in a new asset class that he's completely unfamiliar with. So it's cool. It all works out in the end. It's kind of like that good karma thing. Like I think if you put a lot of good karma in this world, it comes back tenfold your way.
I agree. And it's always the people that are telling you your karma's bad that are like, you know, like if you're constantly finding yourself in arguments with other people, just realize that you're the problem. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you're the problem.
You're the common denominator.
Yeah. I don't get in arguments with grown men. I just don't talk anymore. If there's an argument, I just don't, there's no talking. Why would I ever argue or waste my time? And all these people want to interject, the Telegram this, that. Everyone's corrupt. It's like, no, everyone's doing Hex is the only cryptocurrency that has customer service. So you better be goddamn happy that people are here on Telegram, on the voice chats, on these tables. It's like better than any other crypto as far as customer service.
Yeah, dude, it's funny because there's a couple things that are just really important to me. It's just like, I really value my friendships, the relationships I make. Again, like I think all good karma is you just doing good deeds and putting good stuff out there, and it just comes back tenfold, right? Because again, it's networking, socializing, building these new relationships, and good things just come from it when you take care of others. So that's great, and I value those friends I make. And it's funny because it's tough too, right? Because I've always I've experienced a lot in 30 something years. So like I have also had to struggle with the issue of like I'm also very jaded. I'm also very like on guard because I've done a lot of business with people I thought were my friends, and then I find out like, you know, get stabbed in the back. You have all kinds of stuff that takes place, and it hurts,
Yes.
right? Because when you let your guard down, you let your walls down, and you think someone always is going to have your best interest, and then you find out they don't, it just hurts that much worse. The stings that much worse, and so then you get jaded over time, and you're always cautious, right? You don't let the walls down, you don't let the guard down as much. You're more skeptical when you're evaluating people, and it's not a good way to go through life. It kind of sucks. It protects you from getting harmed again, but it also, you lose out on a lot of relationships and stuff where someone who is more open would actually be more receiving of it. And it's tough, but I've learned like it also gives me more value in the friends that I do have, right? Like I value them that much more because it's that important. Like I've had friends that essentially have like fucked me over before, and you just lose trust, right? And that's the ultimate thing. It's all about trust. And like when you lose that trust, you just never get it back. And I've told friends like this before, like where they've come to me and like, you know, they kind of like fucked me over and what have you, and like they want to reconsolidate, build bridges, and like you try to leave it open, but ultimately like I tell them, it's just like, look, like I considered you a friend. What you did was awful or whatever. And it's just like I can never it sounds kind of lame or whatever, but it's just like you'll never have that same relationship with that person again because they betray that trust. And you can spend years and years and years building that trust, but it just takes one action to destroy it, right? And like I'll never view that person the same. And so like I can never be to the level of friends I was with them beforehand, because I can't have that same level of trust there anymore. And so that's why like the core group of friends I have that I know that I can trust my life with, or I can literally hand them my keys if I wanted to and know that they're not going to take my money or what have you, like that, I can't put a price on it. Those people are invaluable in my life, and that's why like I'll protect them, they'll protect me, and we get to grow and flourish together. Like it's interesting. I've learned a lot of this stuff going over the years, and it sucks because I have learned a lot of it the hard way, and so it just makes me value what I do have that much more.
It's very hard to trust people.
Yeah. Especially if you've been burned before. I mean, that's the thing.
Especially when you don't need anyone, right? Like I don't need anyone, but it's like I don't want to live a life of someone that doesn't need anyone, right? I don't. Yeah. I want to you know.
There's a lack of fulfillment.
It is because I'm so fulfilled when I'm sitting here in the morning drinking my coffee and working, but when I'm outside, now that I've been sitting here for a couple of weeks, I'm like, you know, I used to feel the same way about walking outside as I did about sitting at my computer. But at the same time, there is a way to have balance, guys. It helps if you have money, but I don't have money, and I have a lot of balance in my life for the most part. Yeah, I'm not great with relationships with females yet. Like I still just don't see why I should pay attention. But like with my family and stuff, like I still work on that stuff every day, you know, like I want to be a family dude. I want to be a nice dude. I want to be a good dude because just because I think that's a good thing to do, but two, because I know that's the only way to be successful. I watch stupid plebs run into their walls all day because they sell themselves out for $1,000. Yeah. It's disgusting. And I don't care about the money. I don't care about the NFT. I don't care about the bullshit. I care about the fact that you're going to sit there and say, this is why I'm doing this, but we all know you're doing this for another reason. I just want transparent content to lead YouTube again. There was a time, guys. There was a time. Wow, let's take a time warp where content was honest-ish, but then clickbait destroyed it. Or
at least there was freedom to say what you wanted to say, too. It's a combination of that, right? Freedom to say what you want to say without fear of recourse, transparency. I mean, and this is why I say like Joe Rogan's podcast got so popular so quick. Well, not quickly. He put in the time and work like you're doing, right? Like days and hours of interviews, and it might have not been with the most famous people at first, but it was demonstration of like people back in the day. They didn't think people wanted those long form conversations. They thought they just wanted quick, down and dirty information, easy to obtain. But then they realized people were just hungry for those real, honest, like you said, transparent conversations like we're having right now. Like they just don't exist when there's so much bullshit out there in the world and crap fed to you by the media or just all this stuff. Like, you look for those sincere conversations, those sincere people that have nothing to sell you, nothing that they're trying to obtain from you. It's just they're just having a good wholesome conversation with you. Like, people need that. And this is what I was saying. Like, getting rich without bringing your friends and family and loved ones with you is a waste of time. It's awful. It's an empty existence. You're miserable. You'll never be happy. And people might say, "Oh, well, I'll get Ferraris, I'll fuck all the chicks and all that stuff." Cool. You can run through that all day. But eventually you're going to turn around and you're going to realize you have no true friends, right? Like, they were just there because you had the Ferrari, because you could throw a sick party, because you could invite all these hot chicks. But can you trust anyone to have your back? Can you trust anyone to maybe you want to pass down your seeds? Can you trust these people? It's like, no, you don't have any true friends. So you could be the wealthiest person on this planet, but you're lonely. And you can't buy someone's attention. You can't buy someone's friendship. Like, these things are earned over years of trust and dedication and just being a good person, being a good friend, and paying that shit forward. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can't buy it back. Even like with your time, like, Hex monetizes one of your most valuable assets. Like, right now we invested $27 million in the Sens Foundation just so we can try to get a little bit more of it. But like, eventually you just run out of time. You can't get it back. And so if you spend your life just burning bridges, there you go, nerd girl, there's a shout out to you. Burning bridges and fucking people over just to get one leg up on your competition, or continue on down this path of just emptiness, man, it's an awful existence. Cool, you might have a nice Lamborghini or you might have a nice house, but it's just gonna be empty because you don't have,
so
you
empty.
don't have those. It sucks.
Yeah, I did whatever I wanted in 2020. You know, like, I started partying again. Nothing crazy, just normal partying. Just like,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna go out and make that a part of my life again. And I got with, as many girls as I possibly could, and I did. And after that year, I felt so sick, literally mentally ill, mental illness. Like, I'm not talking about like, oh man, I had a bummer day. I was like, I have lost my moral standard and I don't know where it is anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've lost touch with what was making me feel comfortable before. But you don't know it when you're chasing.
When you're caught up in it.
Yeah, you don't know it until afterwards,
obsessed.
when that last girl rips you and you're just like, wait, they didn't care the whole time. And then you're like,
Yep.
oh, wait, I didn't care the whole time either. You know, it's like a double on. It's like you get burned. It's funny because the people will treat you exactly how you let them.
You're getting back what you were putting out, essentially.
Exactly.
You're getting the same energy back that you were putting out at that time. You didn't
When
give
did
a
you
fuck.
start
They
noticing
didn't give a
that?
fuck about you.
When did you start noticing in your life that you're more like, what age were you like? You might have always felt this way. I want to be a better man because I think that that's the right way.
It took me probably to my mid 20s, maybe a little after, like 26 to 28, because like early on you're that, like, saying you're young, dumb, and full of cum, right? Like, you just want to go party, you want your independence, you want to go fuck the hottest chick, you want to just go have a good time. Like, you're you don't really, there's a lot of, especially in us guys, there's just a lot of maturity lacking in us. There's a lot of wisdom that we haven't acquired yet. There's a lot of probably rough patches that we have to face before we really start understanding like what matters. And I think it's something all of us as young males have to go through at some point. And like, for me, it took me a little past probably my mid 20s before I really started. And it kind of goes back to when I joined the Navy. That was a huge pivotal point where like I realized I was fucked up, right? Like, I didn't give a shit about school. Like I was saying earlier, I was pretty intelligent where I could get by in high school. I could procrastinate, still be like top of my class. College, all I cared about was just having my independence, being away from my parents' home, fucking hot chicks, going out and partying, drinking way too much. Wouldn't go to class, try to get away with it. Oh, I missed a few tests. Next thing I know, I can't pass the class if I wanted to.
Anxiety attacks.
Yeah. Like I was taking out student loans. I was working a full-time job. I wasn't making the ends meet. And I remember, like, to this day, the day where I realized I needed to make a change. I found out I missed a course that I needed to essentially, it was a prereq to the rest of my courses. So I would have to wait a full year before I could take that. It was only offered one semester. So I'd have to wait a full year before I could take it again, before I could take any other classes. So it completely put me at a standstill. I had student loans. I had like Bright Futures. If you guys don't know, in Florida, that's a scholarship that pays upwards of, I think 75% was the maximum that you could get out of your college. So like I would lose my Bright Futures because you have to stay permanently enrolled. I had my student loans. My job, I I was doing wouldn't cover my expenses. And I just realized what a fucked up situation I put myself in, because I wasn't financially, my financial IQ just wasn't there. I didn't give a fuck. I was procrastinating. I was partying too much. And I remember going back to my apartment and I'm looking at my pantry and bro, I don't have any food left. Like I didn't have any food. My bank account was close to zero. I remember to this day looking in the pantry and like the only thing I saw that was in there that was edible was like a fucking can of baked beans. And I don't even like beans. I was like, damn it. I was like, I've really fucked up. I've really put off the things that matter in life. And I was like, I need a very hardcore change of direction like now. And so I know, and this is kind of a thing you'll get with military. A lot of people think military is like an option for people that fucked up. And to a degree it was, but it offered me stuff that I needed that I was lacking in my life. Like I was always a pretty smart guy. I got along with people pretty well. I had a good work ethic, but I still procrastinated. I figured I could skate by in life, and I just wasn't mature enough. And then I needed more discipline. I needed more structure. I found that in the military. Don't get me wrong, I was still stubborn and didn't like taking orders very well compared to most.
I can only imagine you're a fucking
Dude,
asshole sometimes.
Dude, oh yes.
When you were coming up.
Bro, I'm still an asshole, right? It's something you work on daily.
I've seen
right?
you
Like,
get asshole.
like I am an asshole, and that's why like I found a woman that's perfect for me, right? The yin to my yang, like sweet as can be, nicest person.
So sweet.
And like I needed someone to like balance me out and like kind of teach me the stuff that I'm not good at, right? So like it comes with time, wisdom, and just experience. But like it all started back when I was a broke college student that was fucked up, doing the wrong shit. And I remember that day staring at the pantry and there was nothing but like a can of beans staring back at me. And it's just like, oh, I made some wrong decisions. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew the right things to do, and I just wasn't doing them. So I needed to kind of right the ship in the proper direction. And now that, ironically enough, that ended up being the Navy, provide the structure I needed, provide the income, provide the tools to become successful with investing, and the rest of it was history. And like I love everything the Navy provided for me to death, and I also hate it with a passion. But I wouldn't be here without it today, right? Like it was the first kind of real pivotal cornerstone in my life that kind of shifted me to a more positive and productive life. And it took me like my early to mid 20s to really start picking up on that kind of stuff. But it takes some, like sometimes it takes some very rough patches in your life to make that shit clear. Like some, and I told a young man this, he posted this on Twitter, but there was someone that was like, you could tell they're having suicidal thoughts, or like this is really their life was bad, and the Hexicans were all reaching out and being supportive. And like I told him, I was just like, sometimes rock bottom is the best place to start your foundation to build up. And I reached out to him and had some conversations with him privately in the DMs, and he was young. Like I found, like when I was talking to him, he's like early 20s. Just he wasn't able to get a job, he was just depressed. And so like we're talking about it, and just like he just needed, it's like he didn't have any skills. So I was giving him some pointers and stuff that I'd gone through in life. And sometimes you just need that person to reach out and just give you a little push or a little steering into the right path to set you up for your future success. But it's tough, man. Sometimes most of us have to kind of hit that rock bottom stage or very close to it before you make that change. You need something that impacts you that hard to like, okay, this isn't what I want to do with my life. Sometimes it needs to really
Oh, dude, I was just thinking, like, I just remember waking up. I was telling this story yesterday, but I like got in all this trouble, got arrested. My lawyer was like, "You got to go to a halfway house or something. Like, you're a fucking mess, dude." And I was like, "Fuck me." Because he was like being like, "Hey, I'm not your dad." I'm like, he's like, "You should go to a halfway house or you're gonna go to jail, motherfucker."
Yeah.
It was that, and I was like, "Okay, sir." Like, boom, boom, boom. Like, I was like, "Okay, I get it. Like, I get it. You're gonna go to jail." I was like, "I get that. Like, that makes sense to me. I don't want to do that." So I went into a halfway house, the cheapest one, $100 a week cash, 12 people in the house, 4 to a room, all junkies, for 2 years.
Wow.
Straight. No car. I worked at Jimmy John's, bicycling.
Love Jimmy John's.
Bicycling Jimmy John's to the Naval Academy State. Well, I guess I don't live there anymore. To the Naval Academy Stadium in Annapolis, Maryland. Yeah. That's where it was. And man, humbling times. But hey, I remember being happy back then. I remember like jamming out.
Yeah.
Like, and then what it's like to be at rock bottom and being like playing spades with your buddies and being like, this ain't that bad.
Well, you appreciate
Yeah.
you appreciate small things that you took for granted. Like I said, like being able to like get the food I want and like it's funny nowadays, right? Like so we had like Lauren's birthday not too long ago and I was I went over and saw my sister and her boyfriend and my cousin and I was able to like take them out to like a really nice dinner, right? Like we went to this nice steakhouse and
Nice.
like I was able to let them get wine, get all the appetizers, get the nice meals they wanted, and like I'm just able to like pay for it all, right? Like whereas like in the old days, like I was looking at a can of beans in the pantry and I couldn't afford to feed myself, and now I can. Again, it's just all about paying it forward and helping out your loved ones, your friends and family and stuff like that. If you have the means, by all means, give it back. And man, I'll tell you, there's no better feeling than taking care of the people that you care about and giving them the stuff that maybe you weren't able to afford or give yourself back in the day. It's a good feeling. It makes it all worth it, right? Like all the grind, all the working, the countless hours, investing the hundred.
Oh shit. Is he lag out? Let's see if he comes back. Guys, it's been incredible. I'm gonna see if he'll come back. Yeah, he's right there.
Yeah,
You went
sorry.
right-
I think
you
I
went-
think my internet connection crapped out.
It's back.
But yeah, man, it makes everything worth it, right? Like, and and this is why I tell new people, it's just like, just remember what the long term goal is, and like remember, like it doesn't come easy. Like people see OGs and all this stuff that been in Hex, it's like they don't know the story that led up to that. They don't know the years they grinded, the trials and tribulations they went through. They don't understand that they committed every blood, sweat, tear,
Everything.
dollar they could and put it into it. And this is what I try to tell people that like, oh well, maybe I'll put $20 in here, and I just ask them, it's like, is that what you can afford, or is that just like what you're willing to throw in? Because like I put everything I could for 2+ years into Hex, like, and that was from the beginning. Like I scraped and worked extra, ate out less, anything I could do to just so I could put more money in. Like, ask yourself, are you being honest with, if is that what you can afford? Are you willing to put? People don't realize you have to have skin in the game. I don't care if it's the best performing asset in the world. You have to have skin in the game. If you're not willing to commit skin to the game, like, guess what? You're going to be here a lot longer before you're financially free. You have to be busting your ass. You have to be doing anything you can to earn those extra couple of dollars so you can throw into like this asset class. And when you have something that can do thousands of X, like this is where you change your life. But you have to put in the work. You have to put in the skin. You have to put in the time. It doesn't come overnight. It comes over years.
Yeah, those times where you don't even see the future. Like you're just like,
Yep.
I remember.
Focused.
I just remember scooping poop, literally to pay my bills, to pay my fucking bills to the halfway house. I was scooping, like I was working at a farm, like a horse farm, and I just was
mucking
sitting there.
stalls.
There
Done
was
that.
there was no thoughts of this. There was no thoughts of leisure.
Farthest from your mind as you can think of.
I was like, I hope I don't die, and if I probably will kill myself if I don't. You know what I mean? It was literally like that because I just saw, oh, I'm already in financial trouble. I'm already in legal trouble. I'm already in drug trouble. I'm already in every trouble. I didn't go to school. Everyone says, if you don't go to school, you're a failure. And I was like, oh, everything's against me in the world. And then I just started doing research on my own on YouTube. And I was like, oh, wait, you can just watch all Jordan Peterson shit online for free. Okay. I'll do that. That's what I started doing. I just you can watch every Psych 101 lecture from Stanford
out there
online. It's right there. I just still listen to it today. Motley, is there anything? I'm going to take a piss. I'm going to wrap it up. I want any projects that you're doing or any projects that you're involved with, anything that you're doing. Give a second. I'm going to pull you up while I piss and just let them know what you're doing.
Cool. I have to piss too, but I'll let you guys know. So if you don't know, follow me, Motley Investor, everywhere. Your mic's on, by the way, so we're probably gonna hear you pissed. But follow me on Motley Investor everywhere: YouTube, Twitter, Telegram. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll do my best to get to them in a timely fashion. Me and some friends have started a company called Legion VC. If you don't know, we've done some pools for the sacrifice for Richard Hart products, and I believe also Mintra and Liquid Loans. We've used those proceeds where we've built a project on pulsechain. We actually just finished up the audit, found a couple issues with it. So again, if you guys are building something on the pulsechain, audits are important. So we're actually in the process of working on that. We have a couple other things that we're building in the background that's coming. Hexmerch.com if you want to go wear some cool stuff. What else are we doing? Yeah, just do it. Essentially, our goal is just to stay involved in the space. Like, I left the legacy finance system for a reason. I want to continue to build up crypto. I want more of the masses to come here because I think this is how we fix the broken system that we live in these days, and we free more people, give them their time back. Financially freeing them gives them the time to focus on what matters in life, kind of the stuff that Jim Rad and I were talking about. So I want people to have more time with their families. I want people to be able to partake in those memories that maybe they missed out or their parents missed out because they had to continue to work just to provide for them, right? So I think ultimately what we're doing here goes so much further than just another financial product. Like, I think this really does bring back people to what matters. And I think that just gives them a better quality of life. And then that just works its way out to the rest of the world, right? Like, this is, Richard Hart talks about all the time. It's like, to get people to care about changing the world, their cup has to overflow first. You can't fill up someone else's cup if your cup isn't overfloweth. So once you overflow your cup, then you can pass it on to your loved ones, and then further and further and further out. And next thing you know, one individual has the ability to impact tens of thousands of people. And we've seen it with the growth of Hex. It's the same thing. It's all been grassroots. It's all telling their friends and family, their loved ones. It's been us doing our own campaigns, not rely on someone else to do it for us, not begging Richard to do it for us, right? Like, you're going to fail, you're going to succeed, but you don't know if you don't try. So it's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, don't go to your deathbed, guys, thinking like, man, I could have done so much more.
What if?
I could have just done that one thing and just done it. Who cares? I was working at an air conditioning place for 40 years. I should have just done it. You will die on your beds thinking that stuff. Don't do it unless you're the type of guy who doesn't care, which I know there are those people out there. It's just true. It is true. But ignorance is bliss. But guys, let's fuck that shit. Guys, fight for your dreams. And like K4K says right here, I totally am 100% on with this. I am fighting for my future family and everyone to have the time, because I was fed a lie about my time, that it wasn't valuable, that I should pay $35 an hour will cut it, that $40 an hour will cut it. Oh, okay, Scott, 45, like giving me a break by making it $45. You know what I mean? And I'm over here like, yeah, I got a $5 raise. I'm just crushing. And then you look at the numbers and you're like, I was wrecked the whole time.
You're being stolen from. Your time was
right.
being stolen.
I was being robbed.
Yep.
And it wasn't their fault. It was the way that the system was designed to teach people that they need to work like that in order to be successful. Work smart, guys. Use your mind, use your friends, use your resources. We can all work together. I know Motley wants to see anyone who's willing to put their ass to the grass to fucking to go forward, because it helps him. It helps me. We can all hang out and drink beers and stuff one day and then be like, yeah, we did good stuff and it was great. You know, not be like, man, we worked for the car insurance industry and we made $200,000 a year. Yeah. And for our whole lives. And now our kids have no inheritance. In 08, everything was more expensive than I thought. In 08, inflation was crushing us the whole time. And then we were over here like, guys, it's our jobs to do the research. It's our job. It's our jobs to dig in. I just want to say,
future generations,
thank you so much, Motley, for being a mentor of mine.
Of course,
it touched me when you said mentor, because it's so true. Like, Sam was my first mentor ever. He still is. It came full circle, dude. He taught me how to learn and research.
Teach him back. Yep.
And then I'm like, dude, you got to stop. You know, this is where it's at financially.
Feels good, right?
And now we're doing the show together. It's benefiting him and his products because he does gym stuff. It's benefiting me just because I'm enjoying it and my channel's getting bigger and my goals are kind of coming to fruition. It benefits everyone if you're working hard. But if you're a leech, I'm going to fucking call you out in front of everyone constantly.
And this is why I was drawn to you initially in the beginning, right? Because you did not know shit, right? Right? Like, you didn't know a lot, but that's fine, right? That's fine. But what you do have is drive, determination, and like I saw the work ethic, right? Like I saw the obsessiveness. Like, again, kind of like what we were talking about earlier. It's like, are we all just the same as a lot of these like-minded individuals that are driven? And yes and no, there are some of us, and there's some not so much. But like, that was one thing I saw in you. I knew you were driven, and I mean, this channel proves it, right? Like you're doing the Hexo thing right now. You're doing a daily stream, which a lot of people don't know if you haven't streamed yet. Like, it seems like we just hop on the camera, and yes, we do, but it is a lot of work. And some days you're not gonna just want to stream, right? You don't feel that well. You don't want to maybe socialize. You don't want to do all this stuff, but you do it anyways, right? And very few people have that drive, and that's why, like, I will help anyone. Like, I will help anyone, but you have to be willing to help yourself first. You have to have the drive. You have to have the motivation to put the work in. If you're not willing to put the work in, why should I give up my valuable time and resources to you if you're not able to do it for yourself? And so I knew right away when I saw you, I was like, this guy's going to put in the time and work himself. So I was willing to give my time to you as well.
Oh, God, it feels great. I mean, it feels great that I remember the first time I ever got invited on a stream, Wave 3 TV. I was sitting on my couch right
Wave.
there, and I was like, guys, I got these cool shields, and they were like, those shields are pretty sick, dude.
Was he Yoda?
No. I put the shield away, and literally Motley was like, bring that shield back.
Yeah.
He was like, that's a fucking lit shield. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, next thing you know, Hex contest, the whole fucking thing. It's history from there, dude. It's great.
Design the Hex shield, and now a bunch of Hexicans have the Hex shield everywhere. And now look at you. We have the pulsechain shield, the pulsex shield, you name it.
And soon I'm gonna have freaking Hex merch. It's in the mail. It's on the ground, baby. Mediums.
And that's another thing, right? Like, so we made a bunch of merch that we want to wear, and like, yeah, let's give Jim Rat some free freaking merch, because guess what? The dude's passionate. He's on stream every day, and like, he's if anyone's earned it, that man has earned it.
And they know I actually would wear them, because I could use some threads.
Yeah. Look, you barely have.
When you're grinding, it's not your first priority to hit the thread store. You know,
no,
when
definitely not.
Like, I'm in the grind mode right now. Like, I'm doing the peanut butter jelly, the whole thing. That's what I love, guys. Let's
get you clothed.
Yeah, please. It's like, well, I'll do a GoFundMe to get me clothes. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I appreciate Motley so much. Hex in the morning every single day. When the Hex price starts moving, we'll do a little bit more coverage. But guys, just covering like some flat action is kind of just pointless to me at this point. I want to educate people about what's coming. I want to tell people about Hex, the copy, everything. I love what you're doing. Everyone have a wonderful day. Hit the subscribe button if you have not. Hit the like button if you have not, because you want to be the guy that followed me before 1K subs. Once I hit 1 million, you're going to be like, yeah, that whole conversation. It's going to be great. All right, guys, have a great day.